Friends, welcome in. It is CFLW on this Saturday. I hope you are doing well. This is a special live stream as we get you prepared for some brutally cold temperatures. I mean, it's outside already right now. This front is coming through with a vengeance. We are likely to see temperatures colder than what we've had in the last 15 years. We're likely to have the coldest weather since 2010, at least in some spots. We're going to be breaking record lows. We're going to have a hard freeze tonight. We're going to have wind chill values in the teens, in single digits, and yes, even the opportunity in a couple of spots to maybe even have a few flakes of snow. I hope you're doing well. Got to give everyone a couple of seconds to come on in. Great to see you. Let me know in the comments section below where you're viewing from. And as we get started, I will let you guys know that this live stream is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. You get storm damage of any kind. You want to talk to Bobby and the team at Lean Law to get some advice as you go through that insurance claim process. Reach out to them by going to leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. Great to see you. Temperatures are already beginning to plummet. So coming up in this live stream, we'll talk about what's happening outside right now. We'll look at current temperatures. We'll look at where there could be a few flakes of snow. We'll then get into just how cold it's going to be tomorrow morning. We'll take a look at your morning lows, the wind chill values, and the things that you need to do to prepare. Hopefully you've gotten most of that done. But if you still need to get outside, I know it's not going to be fun, but you'll have that opportunity before your area gets below freezing. So great to see everyone. How's everyone doing? Yeah, let me know where you're viewing from. Hey, Big Papa G, how you doing? Palm Coast in the house, an area that is going to be going below freezing shortly. Hi, Kish, how are you? Lando Lakes here. Good to see you. See Kresnik again. Kissimmee in the house. These handles are screwing me up because I know some of you are regulars, and I apologize. Just let me know where you're viewing from, and again, let me know your names as well. Hey, Larry, how you doing? 45 degrees in St. Pete's. Good to see you, Fiona, as well. Will in the house from Melbourne. Great to see you. So let's talk about what's going on right now. Here's the biggest concern that I have, friends. Yes, we get a freeze from time to time in Central Florida, but the duration and the extent of the freeze is going to be problematic. There are going to be some areas of Central Florida that are going to go below freezing at about 9 p.m. tonight in about an hour and a half, and are likely not to get above freezing until at least 9 a.m. tomorrow, if not even deeper into Sunday morning. So we are looking at some areas of Central Florida to have a 12, 14, maybe even a 16-hour freeze, and the freeze is likely to get all the way close to the Metro Miami area. The western and northwest sides of Metro Miami are likely to freeze, and we're going to run it back again for tomorrow as well. So I've got your current temperatures. I've got the composite radar on. I've been keeping a very close eye on things. I can tell you this, there has been reports, video evidence, and reports that have been basically corroborated by National Weather Service offices of a little bit of snow in Jacksonville today, a little bit of flurry activity in the Gainesville area at the University of Florida. We had a few flakes of snow in Tallahassee, and here in Central Florida, a report here or there of a couple of flakes of snow in portions of coastal Citrus and Hernando counties, places like Crystal River and Homosassa Springs, even inland across 44 towards Inverness. Now, I grew up in Citrus County. I grew up in Crystal River. I actually got to witness firsthand this Gulf effect snow one time. It was back in 1989, December 23rd. Yes, I remember the date. Why? Because I'm a weather nerd. But even with temperatures above freezing, you can get a little bit in the way of some light flurry activity. Now, my parents said they didn't see anything, so it shows you how sporadic it is. But if you guys have seen any of that activity, you've experienced it yourself, let me know in the comments section below. And by the way, if you ever do get a picture or a video of the snow flurries, you can email me, cflwlive@gmail.com. Make sure you keep those videos down to 20 seconds. I'm going to just take my name bar off camera here for a second and then get back here. So there you go. Keep those videos under 20 seconds. By the way, you'll see your live temperatures scrolling across the bottom of your screen. I don't think we're going to get any, quote, snow reports here, but what you're going to start to see as we get into the 8 o'clock hour are more areas, especially in the northwest sides, Marion County, Citrus County, Levy County, northern Sumter County, obviously into Alachua County, begin to creep down to that magic 32-degree mark already. It's going to be a big time, long duration freeze. But yes, we've had reports of a couple of light flurries here and there, coastal sides of Citrus and Hernando counties. And again, it's not going to add up to much. It's not going to stick, right? Maybe a couple of flakes could stick in the, Gainesville area, maybe a few up towards Ocala, but that's going to be about it, all right? The moisture is shrinking, the air is drying out. But again, temperatures are already beginning to plummet. Now we had some really cold rain that moved through portions of Pinellas and Hillsborough and Manatee and Sarasota counties a little bit earlier here, late afternoon into the early evening hours. This moisture is obviously into temperatures well above freezing, so it's just a little bit of rain right now. And I do expect the air to continue to dry out. Look, if we're going to get a snow flurry here or there in Central Florida, it's likely to be right along the immediate west coast. I can't rule out a little bit of moisture trying to get into Sumter or even Lake counties with just the correct moisture fetch coming here, but for the most part, that's where we expect it. Now, when I saw the snow flurries in Crystal River back in 1989, it was actually a completely different day. The front had already moved through, and it was just a really cold day with temperatures that actually stayed in the 30s and 40s, and it was overcast all day. And then just right at the end of the day into the late afternoon, shook out a couple of the teeniest snowflakes you could see. But it was falling, and it even stuck on some of the grassy surfaces there as well. All right, good to see you guys. Yep, a little bit of Gulf effect snow. Hey rockers, how you doing? The village is in the house. I covered my tomatoes. Do you still think you'll freeze? Look, I'm concerned about any tender vegetation, and I've got steps for you guys to make and prepare for what's going to be happening this evening. It's as bad as it's going to have been since 2010. Many areas will get well into the low to mid 20s, including Metro Orlando, and we're going to have a freeze duration likely to be over 12 hours in a lot of spots. So obviously that's one story, the temperatures, but take a look at the winds that the front has produced in the last couple of hours. I mean, if you've stepped outside, and I did that just around 6 o'clock to actually get my pool ready to go for this hard freeze, the air is so crisp. The air is so dry. It really is a different feel to the air, and you can see the winds that have come along with this front. 30, 40, even near 50-mile-an-hour winds. Sarasota has clocked a 47-mile-an-hour wind. Palm Bay, there's so many areas that have been right around 37-mile-an-hour winds. Titusville, Palm Bay, Orlando, Sanford, Daytona Beach, Claremont, Zephyr Hills right around 40. Same thing for Lakeland. Now the winds, they'll die down a little bit. I mean, you can see up in the northwest areas that the winds have come down a little bit, but let me be clear. The winds are still expected to be 20 to 30 miles an hour overnight, and there could be even some stronger wind gusts than that. We have a wind advisory that is continuing to be in effect until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll take a look at all the advisories coming up for you guys as well. So when I throw on just kind of the general wind direction, the front itself, right, has cleared Central Florida. It's still to move through Southeast Florida, so temperatures are going to really drop here in the next couple of hours. Fort Lauderdale down towards Miami, but the front itself is well south of our area now, so we are in the crisp, we are in the cold air, and those winds are still a whipping outside. Look at these dew points. Again, this is an indication of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. The lower the dew points, the drier the air. The dew points, well, they're already dropping back into the teens. Look, this is northeast weather, guys, when you have dew points that are already into the teens and could crash and bottom off in some single digits tomorrow morning. So crisp outside the air is at this point in time. Hey, Cole, how you doing? Yeah, no doubt. It's already cold. Went to Publix around 4:30. It felt like it's 27. Yeah, no doubt. This is the big story. Right? You guys are tuning in because you want to know about just how cold it's going to get. But the front itself, I told my wife, I said, you're not going to have to think about when that front arrives. You will feel it. And you probably felt it when it came out. Now look at the temperatures already up into the Panhandle. They're already below freezing up in Tallahassee. Cross City is getting close. Gainesville will get down. And places like Crystal River, Inverness, Denellen, Ocala, the Villages, and even close to St. Augustine are likely to go below freezing at 9 p.m. And then again, it's more about the duration that we're going to see from there. So this is what's happening right now. And again, if you guys see a snowflake, let me know. Tell you what, while we're on the subject, we have our live cameras here at CFLW. So let's jump into those. And then I want to get into some of the details of the forecast. We'll start off with our camera in the Conway area of Orlando. Again, we're not going to be able to see a snowflake here with this dark camera. I mean, it would have to be something exceptional. Likely what we would see in the foreground of this camera is a bug or two, right? But if we see a little drip, you know, it could be a little snowflake. I can't rule it out. I mean, temperatures are going to begin to plummet. It's too warm right now, but in the next couple of hours, it's not out of the question. To Winter Park we go. This is the Lean Log Cam Winter Park. A little bit more of a sheltered area here. You can see that the trees are a little bit higher in this spot. And again, we're looking east-southeast. Skies are nice and clear right now. Is that the Big Dipper or Cassiopeia, potentially? Anyway. So I know some of my constellations, Cassiopeia makes a big W, so that could be it, or it could be the Big Dipper in the handle. But anyway, it's the winter sky, and you can see that skies have already cleared out. It's a good indication that the air is already beginning to dry, right? So we're beginning to lose even some of the cloud coverage that we've had recently as the air gets drier and drier. Let me tell you something. From the attractions camera here in Lake Buena Vista, I mean, obviously, you know, the attractions, the beat goes on, you know, they'll march on. But if for some reason you are headed out to the attractions tonight, maybe with the fireworks displays, or at any point in time tomorrow, please bundle up. I mean, outrageously cold. You know, look, there's the opportunity with wind chill values tomorrow morning when the park's open that are still in the low double digits, like 10 to 15 degrees, right? Exposed, you know, skin, subject to potential frostbite if you're prolonged exposure. You're going to want to be covered up. It will get better tomorrow afternoon, somewhat, but our temperatures tomorrow afternoon are likely to stay in the 40s in a lot of areas for daytime highs. So obviously the attractions, you know, folks who are here visiting, they're going to go enjoy things. If you're local and you're a diehard theme park goer, you're probably going to want to head out regardless, but you got to make sure you're prepared. Whatever kind of insulation you got, it is layer weather, it's hats, it's gloves, it's scarves, it's protecting that exposed skin. So let's talk about what I expect to see here. I first want to start off with what's really happening outside right now. We'll take a look at the current advisories coming up as well. Look, the bottom line is there's a hard freeze across all of Central Florida tonight. The only area that will be an exception to that is going to be Pinellas County. Clearwater, Pinellas Park, St. Pete, Largo areas are not likely to freeze, but you get inland from the bays, including downtown Tampa, and they are likely to see a freeze there. Most areas will be well into the 20s for morning lows, and some areas bottoming off right around 20, all right? So many areas will experience around 12 hours of sub-freezing temperatures. Ridiculous amount of time to see temperatures below freezing here in Central Florida. Near record or record lows, many areas shattering records. The extreme cold warning is in effect, and that is for wind chill values by tomorrow morning of 9 to 15 degrees. There is likely to be some areas from time to time that feels like temperature. Again, your temperature, you factor in the winds. What does it really feel like when you step outside? That's your wind chill, or your feels like 9 to 15 degrees. That wind advisory in effect until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Northwest winds 20 to 30 miles an hour, gusts to 50. I have no idea why you would want to be out and trying to do any boating, but if for some reason you were, don't even think about it. Absolutely dangerous boating conditions. Gale warnings are in effect. So this is what it looks like here with the advisories. The dark blue near purple on this map are your extreme cold warnings, which go all the way down to near Fort Lauderdale, right? So if we take a look at Orlando, you can see all the things that are in effect. You've got the freeze warning, you've got the wind advisory, you've got the extreme cold warning, and then you have multiple updates to those. By the way, the extreme cold warning and the freeze warning are already back into effect for tomorrow night for most of Central Florida. So we've got 2 nights of this, my friends. It is likely to get a little bit colder tonight into Sunday morning compared to Sunday night into Monday morning, but temperatures will still be well below freezing. Whatever preps we're going to be talking about you guys doing tonight into tomorrow morning in preparation for this hard freeze, you're going to run it back for Sunday night and into Monday morning as well. We will still have a solid long duration freeze for Monday morning. But again, looking at the freeze warning, you can first of all see the winds, right? Exactly what I said, 9 to 15 here. You're looking at all of the Orlando metro area. Gusty winds, knocking things around. Everything is cold. Dress in layers. We'll talk all about this coming up. The wind advisory, again, 20 to 30, gusts to 40 and 50. But it's amazing to see this extreme cold warning get all the way down south of Lake Okeechobee. Again, areas that are not likely to freeze, Pinellas and portions of western Hillsborough County. But let me be clear. If I lived in the Tampa area, especially if I live just east of downtown, I'm taking all the cold weather preps. Now, technically, the way the Weather Service has zoned this out, you got to get to I-75. You got to get to Riverview and Brandon and Mango and Seffner and Dover east or north towards Temple Terrace and Wesley Chapel. But I'm still taking the cold weather preps here in the Tampa area for the possibility that I could potentially get a freeze for an hour or two. It's not going to be a long duration freeze. And it's really crazy because Tampa might get down to 31 or 32. Brandon could get down to 26. And Zephyr Hills could rock bottom down to 24. So you get just a little bit inland, a little bit away from the influence of the Gulf and the relatively warmer temperatures. And you're likely to see way colder weather there. Grab my first drink from Aline Law tumbler. Let me jump back into the chat. How you guys doing? Hey, Fiona. Stocked up on the creme de cassis. Black currant for cold. Okay, I love it. What's the difference between extreme cold and a freeze warning? Great question, Teresa. So the extreme cold warning is simply for the temperature. Okay, how cold is it going to get? How cold is it going to feel? The freeze warning is basically to let you know that temperatures are going to be below freezing. So to take your cold weather preps, your freeze preps, like protecting the plants and the pipes and the animals. And we'll get into all of that as well. So that's the difference, because the extreme cold warning is going to be for not only are you going to get below freezing, but you're going to be bottoming off well below freezing as well. And there is an extreme cold watch, there's an extreme cold warning, and it's very rare for Florida to get into this. Will St. Pete see flurries? Larry, likely not. It's not zero, but if we're going to see a little bit in the way of flurries, we got to get into slightly colder weather, and I would expect that to mainly be coastal Hernando and Citrus counties. But the opportunity is not going to be a significant one regardless. Going to go back over to the live radar out of Tampa just to keep an eye on things. You notice here, and I can take a look at the different elevation levels as well. This is at the lowest elevation scan, the half degree. We're not really picking up a lot more moisture. There's a couple of rain showers towards Port Charlotte, and I'll put on the current temperatures as well. But I do believe that our opportunity for a brief flurry is waning. Do we need the faucets to trickle? Absolutely. That SUV never moves. It may not, Cole. Hey, Jaden, how you doing? Good to see you. Jaden from Aruba and a friend of our Media Mundo channel. Loves to tune into the live streams. I appreciate you. I feel like I'm in Rhode Island instead of Florida. Look, guys, I'm from Central Florida, like I said, from Crystal River. So the one thing you get about me is I grew up in this weather. You know, I've been with it through you guys, being born and raised. I have a really good background on it. But I also worked in a lot of different areas, including in Albany, New York, right, as a TV meteorologist. So I know that cold as well. I mean, it's not that kind of cold, but man, is it something out there at this point in time. The gusts, by the way, again, 30, 40 plus miles an hour if you guys are just tuning in. So now we're going to get into the preps that you need to make and what I expect freeze duration wise and morning lows as well. And as I do so, I'll take a quick second and ask you guys, if you don't mind, to hit that like button for me. If you haven't subscribed to CFLW, again, this is a live only channel. When there are impactful weather events happening in Central Florida, I'm live. I got my weather computer. I've got the forecast for you guys. I've got the live cameras for you as well. And again, a lot of new exciting changes coming to the channel in 2026. But again, this is a live only channel. I'll be back on live tomorrow night. We'll be talking about the freeze for Monday morning as well. But thanks a lot for those who have subscribed to the channel, those who have supported the channel. And again, if you're new, we welcome you on board. We got a fantastic community here covering the weather across Central Florida. And at this point in time, covering the weather across Florida with this freeze. So let's talk about what I expect. Let's break this down. So these are the things that you need to do. And then we're going to talk about the specific temperatures. This is about as aggressive of a cold weather graphic I've made for Florida. Okay, going back to my time as a TV meteorologist here as well. But this is what we're dealing with tomorrow morning. First of all, if you want to be outside, look, okay, these are temperatures a lot of the Midwest and the Great Lakes and the Northeast deal with a lot of winter mornings, okay? But it's unusual for us. And we don't want to be in the flip-flop with the socks, variety ready to go tomorrow morning. Take it seriously. Make sure you limit your time outdoors, okay? It's fine to be outdoors, but if you're going to be outdoors, make sure that you're actually prepared and you're dressed appropriately. You dress in layers, right? If you got maybe a thermal layer that you can put on underneath, maybe you visit the colder areas and you got an old, thermals out there, you can throw those on. Maybe you're a skier, throw those on as well. But just make sure that you dress in layers, right? Cover exposed skin, hats, gloves, scarves. Obviously, remember kids, they want to go outside and play around in the cold weather. Just make sure that they are dressed appropriately as well. When we're talking about preps to protect your property, you're going to want to make sure that for outside faucets, you disconnect the hoses, okay? So you disconnect the hose. You drip the faucets. Even a little steady stream is not a bad idea. What you're trying to prevent is the water in that pipe that's close to the outside of your home from freezing, okay? And it can be a big problem here in Florida because our pipes aren't insulated. The other thing you can do, or they're not insulated for these kind of temperatures. The other thing that you can do is you can take a towel and you can wrap it around that exposed faucet. It gives you just a little bit of protection. Again, we're not trying to make these 40 and 50 degrees. What we really want to do is keep things just above freezing. As long as we're not freezing, then we're okay, right? So just trapping in a little bit of that heat that's there is really what we're trying to do by insulating the pipes, meaning we're wrapping a towel around it. We're dripping the pipes and the faucets to make sure that we keep that water flowing so it's not still, so it's not freezing. And obviously, and look, this is something to keep in mind. It's January, so not a lot of folks are running their sprinklers. But if you don't want a sheet of ice on your lawn tomorrow morning, turn off the sprinklers, okay? Make sure you cover sensitive plants. You guys know the tropical variety of plants, those that are very intolerant to cold weather. Obviously, in this kind of temperatures, they're all going to be susceptible. So make sure you cover sensitive plants. A great idea, if you can, is to move them indoors. I have a little area in my patio that is actually insulated, right? A little bathroom area. So I brought some of my plants inside. The others that I couldn't, the larger ones like the palm, planted palm, covered that up. All right. You can also move them closer to your home. It's just a little bit of an idea. Your home is going to trap in some of the heat from the day and it will radiate it out just a little bit overnight. So the closer the plants are to your house, it could keep them just slightly warmer. Now, I'm not going to say if it gets down to 24 in your area, it's going to keep them above freezing, but it's just one little technique to give your plants the best chance. But obviously covering them or bringing them inside is the best idea. My friends who have pools, please make sure you are running your pool. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. Run your pool from right now all the way until it shuts off Monday afternoon. Why not, right? We don't have to do this very often, but you want to keep that water flowing. Obviously, some of the piping of the pools are going to be exposed, but they're big pipes, right? There's a lot of water flowing through them. So as long as we keep those pools running, we should be fine. And don't forget your water features. If you have a waterfall, it's on a separate pump, right? Make sure you're running that because you don't want there to be any still water within that system. And if you have solar panels on the top of your roof, you might want to go make sure that those are automatically on and running constantly, meaning that the pipes are open and the water from the pool is flowing through them and they are not being shut down. The easiest way to do that, if you have a manual switch on the side of your home at your pool equipment, that valve, that Jandy valve that turns on and off, if you just flip it to one side, it will likely turn on automatically. The pipes will open up from the solar panels and those will flow. All right. Now, obviously, everyone's equipment is a little bit different, but you just want to make sure that you manually have those solar panels on because you do not want the water on your roof freezing up with those solar panels. They'll go bye-bye. By the way, if you guys have any specific, ideas to prep for the cold weather, let me know in the comments section below. Let's help out the community as well. Okay. Remember your pets. Bring them inside if you can, right? I had a husky for 16 years. Never going to get the husky inside. Love the colder weather. But most pets want nothing to do with these kind of temperatures. And just remember them. They're family. Make sure you bring them inside. If you leave food and water out for them, you might want to bring it indoors because the food might freeze and the water might freeze as well. Please make sure you check on the elderly, the neighbors, the family, the friends, and heck, even the Tinder dates, right? Who cares? Anyone you know, make sure they're prepared, but especially the elderly and your neighbors. I hope you've checked in with everyone already, but just make sure those who might have not been able to take these cold weather preps are prepared. Remember, we're going to be doing these for tomorrow night as well. And here's a really interesting thing that you may not think about, all right? If you leave your car outside, if you have windshield wiper fluid that is not rated for below freezing temperatures, the windshield washer fluid could freeze, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen, right? The engine compartment may stay warm enough, but those lines are pretty thin. And it's not out of the question that if you have the windshield wiper fluid, which some of us in Florida don't have the below freezing rated windshield wiper fluid, that the lines could freeze. It's just something to keep in mind. I'm not telling you to do anything specific, but I'm giving you that heads up because a lot of folks may not even think about that fact that, oh crap, the windshield wiper fluid, which is completely different than all the higher viscosity fluids that we have in our cars' engines, that fluid could actually freeze if it goes below freezing if it's not the proper kind. All right. Have I answered everyone's questions in regard to this? If you have a question about any preps that you need to be making tomorrow morning, let me know in the comments section below. Again, this is extreme, but this is what we deal with. Hey, Gaming with Jamie, good evening. Hey, Rhea, how are you as well? Fiona, we got to take care of the Tinder dates. Now, it's not for me, right? I've been married for almost 15 years, known my wife for 20. Believe it or not, what's hilarious is I actually spelled Tinder wrong the first time. I spelled it as if it was like tender meat. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't think that's how you spell it. How do you prevent windshield wiper fluid from freezing? Keep the cap on. So it's a good question. I don't have a specific answer for you for that. My thoughts would be one of two things. You could go out and you could run your car for a couple of minutes and heat up the engine compartment, okay? That heat may keep the temperatures just above freezing, right? So you go outside here sometime this evening, you turn on the engine, you let it run for 5 or 10 minutes, you warm up the engine compartment. The other thing you might want to do is just empty it. Turn on the windshield wiper fluid. Now, obviously, you do have to worry about it trying to freeze on the actual windshield, but if you're not going anywhere, it'd be okay. But those would be the two things I suggest. You might want to look into it yourself, though, to be honest. But either emptying it or making that engine compartment a little bit warmer would be ideas that I have, but I'm not exactly sure. It's just something that I remembered from going back through some of my cold weather preps in other areas that I live. It's like, oh yeah, that windshield wiper fluid can freeze if it's not rated for below freezing temperatures. Now, most areas that freeze, Typically, when you go to the store and you buy the windshield wiper fluid, or you go to a quick oil service area, they're going to have the windshield wiper fluid that's rated for below freezing temperatures, but not necessarily in Florida. In Spring Hill area, we are still expecting snow, or has that changed? Again, it's an extremely low chance for any little bit in the way of a snow flurry from here on out. We had snow flurries today from Tallahassee to Gainesville and Jacksonville. As a matter of fact, here real quickly, I'll go back over to the composite radar, and I should be able to loop this up without there being any hassle here, about 6 hours. By the way, those are wind gusts as well. Let me bring this back on. So it's going to be hard to see, and I do have the idea that, by the way, portions of North Carolina are going to get hammered with snow. But earlier today, even though you're seeing green, which would indicate rain, temperature you can see in Tallahassee dropped. So from Tallahassee to Madison, they had some decent snow flurries today. Lake City did as well. Gainesville, I saw video from students outside of the O'Connell Center, if it's still named that, from the University of Florida. They had some snow flurries. Reports from the National Weather Service office in Jacksonville and others, they had a few snow flurries. Had reports coastal Hernando and Citrus counties of a few snow flurries, including my hometown of Crystal River. Now, my parents still live in Inverness. I asked them if they saw any. They said no. So it just shows you how sporadic it is. All of this green obviously is going to be rain. Now, these are your winds. If I go back over to surface temperatures, the moisture here in Pinellas and Hillsborough and Manatee and Sarasota counties, when it came through, temperatures were well above freezing, right? So, again, what's happening is the air is drying out behind this Arctic cold front. So we're really seeing the air dry out very quickly, which is going to really limit the potential for any moisture. I was never really on board. Some of the models showed a 1 to 10% chance of a few flurries along the coast. And, we saw a couple here, but I was never really, I never really had a big thought that we were going to actually pull in a little bit in the way of snow flurries any farther east or widespread enough where it was going to really make a difference. The timing was just off. The moisture came through with the temperatures in the 40s. You can still get a couple of flakes of snow with even the upper 30s. And we had that in the Gainesville area. They'd be really, really tiny and not stick. But the timing was off, where all of the moisture is now out of the area and things are drying out. Oh, absolutely. Meme Studio asking about ice, no doubt about it. So I want to get into now the forecast that I made for you guys and get you prepared for what I'm expecting. So let's start off here with the freeze in duration, right, in hours. Again, some areas on this map are going to be below freezing starting at 9 p.m. tonight, very shortly. And by the way, we'll get the 8 p.m. numbers coming up live. You'll see those scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And then many areas will not go above freezing until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So let's get into this. For Palm Coast and Flagler County, a likely freeze duration of 14 hours. And by the way, so the majority of the area, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. Give or take an hour on either side of that for other areas between 10 and 14 and 15 hours, right? So, Palm Coast goes below freezing 8 to 9 o'clock tonight, likely not to get above freezing 10 or 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Same thing for the Pierce and Astor areas of Lake County. Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Seabreeze, Holly Hill, Wilbur by the Sea, Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna, 12-hour freeze duration even along the East Coast. Same thing inland Volusia County, Deltona, DeBary, De Leon Springs, Lake Helen, the Osteen areas. Some interior areas of Volusia County may even be a little bit more than 12 hours. You get outside of any city areas, any urban heat island, if you will, it's out cold. Lake Mary, Sanford areas, Altamont Springs, 12-hour freeze duration. Basically all of Metro Orlando, I'm expecting a freeze duration right around 12 hours, give or take an hour or two. You live in some of the outlying northwest areas, right? Like Mount Dora and Apopka and Wekiva Springs, you're likely to go maybe 12 to 13 hours. That 13-hour frame for Umatilla and Eustis and Tavares on over towards the Leesburg area of the northern sides of Lake County. The Villages, a 14-hour freeze. Again, that's the exceptional part of what we're going to see overnight is just how long we're going to be below freezing. Ocala, Bellevue, Silver Springs, a 15-hour freeze, right? In some ways, it doesn't matter if it's 14 or 16 hours. I mean, the fact that we're below freezing for this long is obviously going to have big impacts. Obviously, citrus growers have been well aware of the forecast. It's going to be tough, but I know they're doing what they can to protect those crops. For Citrus County, Crystal River, Homosassa Springs, Lecanto, Inverness, around a 15-hour freeze. Same situation for the northern sides of Sumter County as well. Spring Hill, it's a 12-hour freeze. Mascot, Claremont, a 12-hour freeze. Zephyr Hills, Lakeland, Plant City, an 11-hour freeze. Then it gets really interesting in the Tampa area, okay? Again, you get close to the coast, southern Pasco, Pinellas counties, Hudson, Clearwater, back down towards St. Pete, towards the islands, and certainly down towards Anna Maria, Bradenton, Sarasota, no freeze. Slightly inland, I mean, there could be a brief freeze. But if you do live in those areas, I'm not concerned about the duration of the freeze being significant. It's the only area of Central Florida that is not going to have a freeze to be concerned about. The interesting thing is the biggest variety of temperatures and freeze duration is going to be the Tampa area, okay? Anywhere from a 2 to 8 hour freeze, and it really just depends on how close to the bay that you are, how far west that you are. Those are the lower hour duration freezes. But you get just east of I-75, you get inland a bit, Wesley Chapel, Brandon, Seffner, especially towards Plant City and Lakeland, and your freeze duration is 6-8 hours or more. You get into Lakeland, it's up to an 11-hour freeze. Kissimmee, Celebration, Poinciana, 12-hour freeze, and even into Brevard County, 9 to a 10-hour freeze. Titusville, Mims, a 10-hour freeze. Merritt Island, the Cape, a 10-hour freeze, including on over towards Sharps and Vieira. You get down towards Indian Harbor Beach, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Mico, 9-hour freeze in Brevard County, right? North to northwest winds coming in, pulling in that dry air from inland areas, even along the I-95 corridor, all right? Yep, no doubt, Grace. Pray for those animals. Again, by the way, appreciate you guys taking a quick second, hitting that like button. You have a question about the forecast, let me know in the comments section below. Let's get into, hang on, I'm not there yet. Let's get into the forecast. Big map, then we'll zoom into some metro areas. So, in blue, my morning low for your area. In purple, the minimum feels like temperature for Sunday morning. These are outrageous values for Central Florida. Again, it's been at least 15 years since we've had this kind of cold. Bottoming off in a lot of spots in the low 20s. I mean, a good chunk of Central Florida in the lower 20s. Palm Coast will get down to 23. That's my morning low for Palm Coast tomorrow, where the minimum feels like temperature of 8 degrees. Not the double snowman, not 88, but the single snowman of 8 degrees. That is the kind of cold that we can actually see frostbite and exposed skin with the winds that we're expecting. Again, we're still expecting 20 to 30 mile an hour winds overnight. They might die down a bit, but not much. Pearson area, 21 degrees with a 9-degree minimum feels like temperature. It's not much better for Ormond Beach and Daytona Beach and Holly Hill. 25 the morning low there, feels like temperature down to 12. Deltona, down to 22 with a feels like temperature of 12. It's the same thing for Sanford and Lake Mary. Altamont Springs on over towards UCF. In downtown Orlando, 23 the morning low. Well, not actually, downtown Orlando is 24, but you get the idea, right? Towards Apopka, places like that. 23 the morning low, minimum feels like temperature of 12. Downtown Orlando, Lake Nona, Medical City, Lake Buena Vista, the attractions, the morning low tomorrow is 24 degrees. If you want to get out early, maybe you're an attractions worker and you have no choice, the feels like temperature is likely to be in the low teens to kick off Sunday morning in Orlando, right around 13. Let's go east to Brevard County. Titusville, Mims, morning low 27, 15, the minimum feels like temperature. Merritt Island, 25, a feels like temperature of 13. Palm Bay, Mico, on over towards West Melbourne, 26, the feels like temperature of 14. North and west, the colder it gets. Ocala gets down to 20 tomorrow morning. It's not going to shock me if I hear from some of you guys, especially like towards Williston, East Levy County, northwest sides of Marion County, especially into Alachua County, you get into the teens for an actual morning low tomorrow. It's not going to be more than about 18 or 19, but it's not out of the question. Again, we're into the single digits for feels like temperature here. The Village is not much better, 21 and 10. Crystal River, Inverness, 23 and 10. So feels like temperatures right around 10 degrees tomorrow morning for a minimum. Now, when you look at these numbers in purple, understand that the feels like temperature isn't going to be consistently this low. It's just what's the minimum it could drop when we get the gusts coming in with morning lows that are in the lower 20s like this, right? So most of the time, the wind chill values will be a little bit above this, but not much. Most of the time, wind chill values will probably be in the upper teens, but from time to time, they'll drop down into the single digits or the low teens as well. So Claremont, 21 and 11. Spring Hill, 24-13. The Claremont area, Mascot, Montverde, 24-11. Kissimmee, 24-13. Same thing for St. Cloud. Lakeland, 24 is your morning low. It feels like temperature as cold as 14. That's what I've got for Zephyr Hills as well. And then you can see the difference as you get towards southwest sides of Pasco and portions of Pinellas counties. I've got the Newport Richey, Clearwater area, 35 with a feels like temperature of 25. St. Pete, 34, so not freezing, but close. A feels like temperature of 26, and Tampa itself right down to 31. It's going to be very close, 31, 32, maybe some of the more urban areas, 33. Again, not a significant freeze in Tampa itself with a feels like temperature of 24. But again, you get inland I-4, and you get down to 24 in Lakeland. So there's not, it doesn't take much to get much colder than that. In the metro Orlando area, this is what it looks like. So just a little bit more zoomed in area here. Chuliota, 23, it feels like temperature of 10. Wedgefield, 24, it feels like temperature of 11. Again, the southern sides, including the Meadowwoods area, Buenaventura Lakes, 25. There's Celebration at 25, Lake Buena Vista, 25, Windermere, Bay Hill, I'm not sure who wants to play golf tomorrow morning in this weather, but there you go, 24 the morning low. Ocoee Winter Garden, 24, Claremont, 23, and again, feels like temperatures in Metro Orlando will be back down into the low teens. In the Tampa area, this is just a nice little shot. It gives you an idea of just getting away from the bays and the influence of the Gulf with the west winds pulling in the relatively warmer waters near the coast, how cold it can get in a hurry. Zephyr Hills, 23. Lakeland, 24, feeling like 13. Even Ruskin is likely to hit the freezing mark tomorrow. But again, Brandon, Seffner, Dover, along I-75 and east, Bloomingdale included, you're well below freezing. Make sure you take those cold weather preps. 26 the morning low there. You get up towards Citrus Park in the Carrollwood area, down to 29. Wesley Chapel included in this. So upper 20s there, a feels like temperature as cold as 23. Places like Newport Richey, Tarpon Springs, Hudson, Palm Harbor, likely to stay just above freezing. Clearwater, 35-ish, St. Pete, 34 as well. Yeah, 34 is freezing to you, Larry. There's no doubt about it. But obviously, to what it's going to do to your pipes and your plants, you guys are on the good side there. All right, hit me with any questions. Can we predict our hurricane season yet? Nope, Cole, no doubt about it. Not ready to predict hurricane season so far. But it shows you guys the extremes, right? The extremes that we've been seeing here lately. The extreme hot weather we've been getting in the summer, and now some really true Arctic air that we're getting here. So I showed you this just a second ago. Let's talk about where we could end up being compared to record lows tomorrow, all right? We'll start off here, actually. So, record lows, my forecast. Asterisk going to show you tying or breaking record lows. In Orlando, 28 is the record low for February 1st. My low is 24. We're going to shatter it in Orlando. I think it's a no doubt about it situation. Tampa, believe it or not, the record low in Tampa tomorrow morning is 27. The forecast I've got is 31. So no record in Tampa, one of the only areas that won't. Daytona Beach, the record low is 30 for February 1st. They're going to shatter it, getting all the way down to 25. You guys remember the freeze we had in November and some of the ridiculous record lows we broke that day where we broke some record lows by 10 degrees? We're going to get close to that tomorrow morning for February 1st. Brooksville, believe it or not, the record low is 23, and that's what I've got for Brooksville. So Brooksville may only tie a record low tomorrow of 23, and I believe that record in Brooksville is like 115 years old. It's a crazy record low in Brooksville to potentially tie. I think it was before 1910. Brooksville had their record low February 1st. Lakeland, here's a spot that will shatter a record low. Lakeland's record low tomorrow is 33. They are going to get down to 24 tomorrow morning. St. Pete's record low for February 1st is 36. Yes, they're not going to freeze in St. Pete's, but they are going to break a record low getting down to 34 degrees for tomorrow morning. In Ocala, the record low is 20. Say goodbye to that 20, 21 degrees through most of Marion County. So they're going to break a record by several degrees. Sanford's going to say goodbye to their record by probably 3 a.m. as they drop below 30 degrees down to 24 tomorrow morning. And Melbourne is going to shatter their record. That's a very common phrase here. Their record low 32. They get down to 26 for tomorrow morning. So you want to talk about just seeing these records go bye-bye. There you go. Back out to our camera. Again, a couple of live cameras to show you guys here. By the way, you see our temperatures updating live for you guys. It's another great feature we can bring you here at CFLW. So you saw Gainesville is down to 33. There's a spot at 8 o'clock that is already flirting with freezing. Shows you the duration of that freeze coming. Again, we see the stars here from our lean log cam in Winter Park. It's a little bit of a sheltered area, so we don't have as much wind here, but it shows you that the moisture is beginning to really dissipate at the low levels of the atmosphere. So any kind of little flurry activity, again, likely to not happen, or if it does, it would be very much confined to the immediate west coast. Here's the attractions area for you guys. Again, the Magic Kingdom, just 1 mile from this camera. It's a great camera to use during severe weather season, severe thunderstorms, tornado activity, but you can see the breeze there, and again, it's just cold. Doesn't matter which camera we're showing you guys, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. You want to talk about feeling a big chill in the air. Live along one of these lakes, right? From the Conway camp, southeast side of downtown Orlando, looking back towards the east, looking towards the east coast. Again, skies are clear here, even with the night vision. We can see some of the stars. That more than likely is bug. I doubt there's any kind of flurry activity whipping on by the foreground of this camera. But again, the wind is a big story here as skies begin to clear out. So back over to the live radar. Let me pop this back on here. And again, ignore those numbers. Let me reset this real quick. So let me bring this back up to our current time at 8:05. So these are all going to be the updated numbers, right? So the METAR site, the reporting site in Gainesville has actually dropped down to 32. So we actually do have our first freezing mark here in Central Florida, Gainesville, Cross City, both in at 32. Ocala is now not far behind. 7:51, their report 34 degrees. Look at the dew point at 12. Again, the air is bone dry. Nothing is going to stop the temperature from just continuing to plummet overnight. Winds are still pretty gusty, up to 20 miles an hour. We've got 34 degrees in Inverness right now with a dew point of 18. Crystal River is down to 36. Leesburg is down to 36. Look, these areas will get very close, if not hit freezing, in the next hour or two at the most. If you live in these areas of Marion and Citrus and Sumter and Lake counties, expect to go below freezing no later than 10 o'clock, but it could be before that as well. On over towards our East Coast right now. Ormond Beach in at 39, Daytona 36. We've got the New Smyrna Edgewater area 39, DeLand down to 37, a dew point of 18. You factor in the wind gusts there at 28 miles an hour. Humidity is 44%. In the Metro Orlando area, Sanford 37, downtown OIA, it's MCO, 37 degrees there as well. So we're only 5 degrees from hitting the freezing mark already in Orlando at 8 o'clock. It is warmer in Brevard County so far, but that colder air is really going to be funneling in shortly. Now again, you know, your freeze duration here for Titusville, Indian River City, Port St. John, Merritt Island, especially get to the barrier islands, won't be as significant, but anywhere west of the rivers towards I-95, 9-10 hour freeze. Port St. John included in that. Same thing for Melbourne. Temperatures there will drop very quickly in the next couple of hours. Back off towards our west coast. Again, I've got the radar on, so we're not really seeing any way of even, you know, a sprinkle or two here. Spring Hill 39, Zephyr Hills in at 39. There's the Tampa area. We've got South Tampa 43, the airport 43, St. Pete 46, airport up there 43 as well. We've got 43 right now in Plant City in the Dover area. Lakeland anywhere between 41 and 45 in Auburndale. Kissimmee is also down to 37 degrees. Again, these are your current numbers at 8:08. Let's take a look at your winds. I mean, look at that. Whew. MCO recorded a 48-mile-an-hour wind gust in the last hour. That's the last report. 48-mile-an-hour wind. So again, the winds aren't calming down, at least as of yet, my friends. Even up where the front has passed through the longest duration, you know, up into Citrus and Marion counties, your winds are still 15 to 20. And then even behind that, Gainesville's winds have kicked back up. Look at Jacksonville's winds, 46 miles an hour. So it's, you know, again, if you expect, okay, you know, the fronts come through, the winds are dying down, not much. A little bit overnight, but again, the wind advisory goes all the way until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Central Pasco hits 32 at 1 a.m. at the very minimum. Hey, Warrior, the True Master, how you doing? Winter Garden in the house. Good to see you. What do you suggest of driving to Spring Hill near Tampa around 9 a.m.? I have no issues with the drive, guys. I mean, it's not like there's going to be ice on the roads or anything like that. It's just bundling up and being prepared for this. You know, obviously we're protecting our property, we're protecting our plants, we're protecting our pets. But as far as any travel tomorrow, we'll be fine. Now, the wind advisory is in effect because literally you could be knocking around the car a little bit, so you want to, you know, drive with two hands on the wheel, but other than that, should be just fine. Again, folks in other areas of the country deal with this fairly often. For us, it's about taking the preps that we have to take that they don't, like running our pools and making sure our solar panels are running and making sure our water features are running. And of course, taking care of the tropical plants as well and dripping our pipes, all things that those up north who have different, you know, infrastructure don't have to deal with. That's an unbelievable wind still, by the way, in Orlando. Really exceptional. Let's bring on the feels like temperature here. Here's your wind chills currently at the hour. So let's talk about what it already feels like outside. Now we've dipped, and this is just a 2-hour loop, by the way, right? So Orlando has gone from a 35 degree feels like temperature. It's dropped 10 degrees in 2 hours down to 25, all right? Yes, that's sunset included in that, but you get the idea of what's happening outside right now. So most of our area have feels like temperatures in the 20s. And if you don't have a feels like temperature in the 20s, you're already starting to see your feels like temperature drop back down into the 30s. Polk County, even back in towards like Seffner area right now. You can see their feels like temperature dropping well into the 30s. St. Pete has a feels like temperature in the 30s as well. And again, there's your 20s at this point in time in Citrus and portions of Hernando counties as well. So exceptionally cold. Real quickly, just to touch on this, by the way, again, portions of the Carolinas are going to get bombarded by snow. Big time heavy snow is falling right now in an area that doesn't typically see it. Myrtle Beach, Fayetteville, Wilmington, some of the prettiest coastal areas hammered with snow at this point in time. Really significant. Again, if you're just tuning in, if you live in Florida, you are likely under an extreme cold warning. That's all of the blue. Even down in Miami, I want to be clear about this. If you live in Miami or know folks who do, outside of the absolute coastal areas east of I-95, they are under a freeze warning as well. That's right. Miami Metro, anywhere west of I-95, is likely to freeze. Now, again, you know, what's going to happen with the freeze? Not likely to be too long, but still could freeze down here as well. See if they give a freeze duration here on this. Oh, here you go. Let's see. Wind chill as low as 21. There you go. Let's give an actual. Let's see what the cold weather advisory is for. So give it a lot of actual temperatures here. Sub-freezing temperatures as low as 31. All right, so we're just below freezing. And we can take a look, by the way, at the HER model. I want to show you that anyway. Let me bring up the HER model here. The first thing I'll show you guys is the loop of this and the fact that our air is drying out, right? So this was one of the models which from time to time the last couple of days flirted with a couple of flurries. Again, I never even posted anything about it because the chance was really about 1%. Now look, again, we have verified some flurries today. Jacksonville, Gainesville, Tallahassee, even portions of coastal Citrus and Hernando counties near Crystal River, a few flakes here and there reported, and some video proof of that as well. Not much more than that, and I think that opportunity has gone by the wayside as the air has dried up, okay? But we had a little bit. It's a neat thing, right? Kind of almost wish you had a little bit more. But you can clearly see on the HER model that the air is bone dry behind this, right? A lot of wind, that's the kind of striations that you see on this HER model is the winds, the wind field. And look at this snow feature that could be hugging the coast of the Carolinas. Unbelievable area of low pressure deepening as it moves offshore. But behind this, we are going to be getting right back into a freeze for Monday morning. So super hard freeze tonight, still a hard freeze for tomorrow. We're going to have the hard freeze in effect and the extreme cold warnings for Sunday night and Monday morning as well. If I go back over to the advisories, if you guys are just tuning in, give you a flavor. These are all the things that Metro Orlando are currently under right now. Again, there are iterations and updates to the extreme cold warning, but the three main ones right now are an extreme cold warning, extremely rare, right? Talking about wind chill values as low as 9 degrees, the freeze warning, which gives everyone the heads up that, by the way, it's time to protect everything that could be, impacted by temperatures below 32. And by the way, the duration of the freeze, again, 12 hours or so. And then the wind advisory, and that's winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour, but still gusting to 40 and 50. Tampa area is about the same inland, right? Extreme cold warning, freeze warning, wind advisory. And you can see the expiration times. A lot of this is going to go until mid-morning tomorrow, because it's going to be until 9 or 10 a.m. for most areas to go back above freezing, and then we run it back again for Sunday night and into Monday. Again, love you guys jumping in the chat. Let me know in the comment section below where you're viewing from. You have a question about the forecast, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to try and answer it. Obviously, the chat is quite fruitful this evening, which I love. Love you guys communicating with each other. Again, you guys have any cold weather advice you want to pass along to our friends here at CFLW, let them know. We appreciate that as well. While you're watching, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, again, this is a live-only channel. I'm only on when we have impactful weather here in Central Florida, so I always tell you guys to make sure you have all notifications on, because if you know I'm live, then you know there's a reason to be tuning in. Is it better to drip the outdoor faucets or cover them? I would probably do both, Marilyn. I have dripped my pipes. I haven't covered them. I still might, but you definitely want to make sure that and I've even got like a decent trickle going on. Now, you don't want to do too much if maybe you're doing that onto cement or onto pavers, like on your patio, because you might cause a nice little layer of ice, but you want to keep that water moving, right? You want to make sure that because still water freezes quicker. Think about a cold stream, right, in the Rockies or somewhere else. When the water is moving like rapids, that water is not freezing. However, when it gets to some of the outlying areas where the water is more still, that is where we see that, ice up. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're dripping that. So again, giving you guys kind of what we call the one sheet here of what we expect. The hard freeze with temperatures well into the 20s. A lot of folks, 12 hours of sub-freezing temperatures or even more. Crazy amount. Again, we're breaking record lows in a lot of spots. The extreme cold warning for feels like temperatures of 9 to 15 degrees. And again, that wind advisory all the way until 7 a.m., the northwest winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour, and still some gusts to 50. And obviously outrageously dangerous boating conditions. I hope no one is even thinking about that. I hope any commercial fishermen have the ability to stay in port for tomorrow. Again, we're talking about the things you need to do, and I appreciate all of those jumping in the chat and discussing that. Here's kind of my thoughts about this. Obviously, kind of my expert opinion of some of the things that you need to do. First of all, take care of yourself, right? Again, we're not talking about 20 degrees below zero. We are talking about those some exceptionally cold weather for Florida, which we may not be prepared for. So if you want to be outdoors, I'd recommend just limiting your time outdoors, right? It's okay to be outside. If you need to do things, check on a couple of things, no problem. Just dress appropriately, dress in layers, make sure you cover that exposed skin, the hats, the gloves, and the scarves. Believe it or not, the Weather Service offices do mention in their highlights that frostbite is possible with these kind of temperatures and wind chill values on exposed skins for long durations. So just don't be out too long. You know, short durations are okay, but you know, look, just for comfort, you're not going to want to have a lot of exposed skin. Disconnect those hoses again. So you disconnect the hoses, then you drip the faucets, all right? Insulate the pipes. Best way to do that, wrap a towel around them. And again, that's just the part that's obviously sticking out from the exterior of your home. Please turn off the sprinklers. If you don't want a sheet of ice tomorrow morning, make sure they're turned off. Obviously, you know a couple of cheeky folks who turn them on so they do a little bit of sledding if they have a little bit of terrain. But again, you're going to cause there to be a sheet of ice in your yard if you don't. Cover sensitive plants. I mean, obviously, any kind of tropical vegetation and our crops, they're going to be very, very exposed to the kind of cold that we're going to see tonight and tomorrow night. If you can move them indoors, that's a great idea. If you can get them close to your home, believe it or not, your home is going to radiate a little bit of that heat that it has absorbed during the daylight hours. It's not a big amount of heat because it was cold this afternoon, but enough where it could help them a little bit. Again, all we're trying to do is keep them above that magic number of 32, right? We do not want there to be a freeze on these tropical plants. So covering them up, giving them a little bit of insulation, and keeping them from that exposed colder air is the best thing that you can do. Please remember, if you have a pool, and a lot of us do in Central Florida, make sure you're running that pool. I would just probably run the pool from now all the way until Monday afternoon when it would normally shut off, right? You want to make sure you keep the water going in that. If you have a water feature like a waterfall, make sure the water is running there as well. And of course, your solar panels. Make sure that those are on. The easiest way to do that, most equipment, you go outside, you have those Jandy actuators, right? And underneath you have, keep doing this motion. I don't know why I do it, because that's just where you flip the switch, right? So you flip the switch and it moves and it turns on automatically, right? That way you're not having to rely on your controller or your smart device to do it for you guys. You have them on automatically. They're going to run. You just want the water to be flowing through those solar panels, especially if they're on your roof, constantly over the next 48 hours or so. Make sure you bring the pets indoors, okay? Obviously, if you're cold, they're cold. Make sure their food and their water isn't frozen if it's left outside. Please make sure you check on the elderly, your neighbors, your family, your friends, even your Tinder dates, right? Just make sure everyone is covered and are prepared for the kind of temperatures that we're going to see. And one little interesting piece of information that you may not even be thinking about here in Florida is that if you leave your car outside, the windshield wiper fluid can freeze if it's not rated for temperatures below freezing. And it is obviously very dependent on what you have in there, right? But some of the windshield wiper fluid you get here in Florida and you don't even think about, and you put in your car, is not rated for temperatures below freezing. And that is, you know, it's not the viscosity of the other fluids that we have in our car. Those won't freeze, but the windshield wiper fluid can. So just keep that in mind. St. Augustine, you got it. I can mention St. Augustine, no problem. Where's Blue Goose? How you doing, my friend? You got to check on those Tinder dates. Again, not me personally. Happily married. Polk County? Sure. Let's check in a couple of spots I haven't hit a lot on, and I appreciate you guys letting me know. Happy to do that. Listen, that's why I do this, right? This is the interaction, right? You and I can have a real-time chat, one-on-one, if you will. You want a specific question, you want to know a specific area, happy to answer that. St. Augustine in the house, 36 degrees right now. Dew point is 14. The winds are still whipping at 30 miles an hour. Blue Goose had 35 with a 46% humidity. His wind's not as strong. Good evening to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. But we have still had some strong winds up in the St. Augustine area. How about that? That 30 mile an hour wind gust at 7:48 dropped the feels like temperature to 8 degrees there. Now again, that's a minimum. It's not going to stay that long, but here you go. At 8 p.m., we already have one reporting station into the single digits to a feels like temperature. And again, you're looking at your live updated temperatures for many, many areas here at the bottom of your screen. You can see Gainesville from 8 o'clock to 8:20 has already dropped down to 32. And so many other areas of, especially north central Florida, are going to go below freezing between 9 and 10 o'clock tonight. So how about that? 8 degrees. By the way, Blue Goose, I do expect you to get down to the low 20s tomorrow morning, maybe even right around 20 degrees. Your feels like temperature will be in the single digits from time to time. You are under that extreme cold warning as well. What was the other one? Polk County. All right, so Polk County right now, let's get into Polk County. Bring back our temperature here. So these are your live numbers here in the Polk County area. A little bit warmer here. Winter Haven still in at 45. The Lakeland area 41. Same thing for Plant City. Bartow 41. Now you get up towards Kissimmee, we're down to 37. Again, all of the winds right now are out of the northwest. So if I put these winds on, they're out of the west-northwest, okay? The colder air is driving in. Temperatures will continue to fall. So Polk County will get colder in a hurry. But this is an area that likely won't go below freezing until probably close to midnight tonight. And so it's more than likely a 9 or 10 hour duration through most of Polk County, but some areas could still be 11 or 12 hours. So that's the current temperatures. Let's check in on our winds. So winds here in Polk County are still well into the 30s. Again, last hour, MCO had a 48-mile-an-hour wind. So unbelievable with that wind. And then we factor in what it feels like outside, and we're right around the freezing mark, slightly below 30 there in Bartow, 35 in Auburndale. We've got, again, down just south of Lakeland, right at freezing. So again, these are your current feels like temperatures as well. Hey, Gaming with Jamie, I appreciate that, guys. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Gaming and Jamie. $5 super thanks. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys doing so. Hey, by the way, earlier today in my studio, there was nothing. If you guys are a friend of the channel and you guys have been watching, redoing the entire studio here to kick off 2026. Just got done with the 3rd layer of paint yesterday, and I was timing this out so I could come on live tonight. So I had to take everything. I mean, the lights, the computers, the camera, the green screen behind me, and put it up today while also getting all of these graphics today. So I literally have been working almost all day long while helping my wife also paint other areas of the home or get it prepared. She was the main painter today, but I was the main painter the last 3 days. But so we're going under a lot of changes with that, but there are some really neat changes coming up as well. So step 1 is just to get the new studio ready to go. Step 2 will be some great technical advances to the channel, and I'm happy to share those with you as we move along. And then later into the spring, a new look to the channel as well. And I do appreciate the Lean Law Firm being the sponsor of this live stream. You guys give them a shout out by checking them out, leanonmelaw.com, for more information there. But I do also want to let you guys know that there will be other sponsorship opportunities available as we move into the spring. If you're interested, you want to talk to me about a sponsorship for some of the things that I do on the channel, you can email me, cflwlive@gmail.com. These are also the areas, if for some reason you got some snow flurries, or tomorrow morning. Remember, I'm going to be back on live tomorrow night talking about the freeze for Monday morning. So send me pictures of your freeze. You get up tomorrow morning, you got that thick layer of frost, snap that photo, send it to me, cflwlive@gmail.com. But you also want to talk about what's going on sponsorship-wise, send it to me there. If you do take a video, I appreciate that as well. Just keep them under 20 seconds. It's just easier, Gmail, and the size of the files and stuff like that as well. Fiona, thank you. Love you. I hope you're doing well. Moderator, friend of all the channels that I do. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Fiona. Thank you very much, Gaming with Jamie and Fiona, for supporting the channel. I do appreciate you guys very much as well. All right. So again, let's get back to those who might be just tuning in, what you need to prepare for. I got you, Atlas, better to varies. We will look at that in just a second. Saw a few flurries there in Citrus County. Yeah, so my parents live in Inverness, and I grew up in Citrus County. Talked to them, they said they didn't see any, but I think this is just a good idea of the very sporadic nature of whatever we had, right? And even when I saw flurries growing up with the Gulf-induced flurries back in 1989, yes, it was that long ago. It was a completely different situation. The front had passed through the day before, and it was just a cold, overcast day all day, and the moisture was still in play. Again, one of the things and one of the differences is you got to have the timing right. You got to have the moisture coming in with the sub-freezing temperatures, and in Florida, it gets harder and harder for that to happen, especially the farther south of the peninsula that you go. Let's see here. I think we got another super thanks. Yes, we do. Cole, $9.99. I appreciate it, Cole. Thank you very much, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Cole as well. Appreciate gaming with Jamie and Fiona and Cole for their support of the channel. All big friends of the channel, and I do appreciate that as well. Awesome, guys. Okay, so again, freeze duration. This might be a shock to your system, but it shouldn't be a surprise that we've been talking about this now for the fact that some areas are already at freezing. To have a freeze duration more than 10 hours through most of Central Florida and potentially peaking in the 15-hour variety up in Ocala, Silver Springs, Bellevue, Denellen, Inverness, maybe even towards the coast, Crystal River, 14 hours in the villages near Leesburg. Tavares, Atlas Better was asking about Tavares, expect about a 13-hour freeze. Eustis, Umatilla, Tavares. So you should go below freezing here in the next hour and not go above freezing until about 9 or 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So there's your 12 to 13 hour duration and a morning low in Tavares of around 23. And we'll look at that in just a second as well. Pearson Astor, 14 for freeze hour or duration. Again, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, around 12 hours. Titusville, Mims in at 10. Merritt Island, 10. Look, our friends in Brevard County, the beaches, is cold, 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 even that far off towards the east. You live in Metro Orlando, give or take an hour, you can expect a 12-hour freeze duration. Most areas, again, around freezing between 9 and 10 p.m. tonight, and you don't go above freezing until 9 or 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Same thing for our friends in Lake County, Mascot and Claremont, Lakeland, 11-hour freeze, Zephyr Hills, Spring Hills, 12. And again, it's only coastal portions of Pasco and Pinellas counties where we're going to have basically no freeze. And then Tampa, there's your variety. Maybe a couple-hour freeze, but you get into Brandon, you get up towards Wesley Chapel and Zephyr Hills, and forget about it. It's 6-8-hour freeze duration. Hey, Juan, how you doing? Denellen here. We'll pump freeze prevention tips. Appreciate it, Juan, and thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you very much for that. That is a way to get my attention, just like Juan did. You want to ask a question, make sure that I see it. A super thanks is always helpful. And thank you very much, Rhea, big friend of the channel, $4.99 super stickers there. Got the noob super sticker. I love it. Appreciate you, Rhea. Let's get the hearts out in chat there. So, will the pump freeze and prevention tips? Great. So let me ask you, Juan, what kind of pump are we talking about? Are we talking about the pool pump? Are we talking about the heater pump? Let me know. It's a good question. I might even grab my phone and do a lookup here because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I'm a fair expert when it comes to this, but I always want to give you guys the best advice. I mean, first of all, running anything, if you can overnight, is always a good idea. But again, the specific kind of pump, like for me, I have a pool and I am running my pool pump constantly. For well water, okay. Okay. Well, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. So I am more than welcome to and happy to say, look, I'm not exactly sure, but let's find out together. It's a great thing. So I'm looking up ways to prevent a well pump freeze. And then, by the way, if you guys have a well pump, because I don't, so I don't have personal experience, let Juan know. If you use an indoor rotating heater, be extra careful. Let's get the zoomies in the cold season. It's a good idea, Grace. Great reminder. Entirely Train says, well, on Bruce B. Downs Boulevard a couple days back, the frost was so thick, I haven't seen it that thick in years. Looks like snow. It can get really thick. Well, Ray, if you want to be a moderator again, we can make that happen. You're such a big friend of the channel. We can make that happen indeed. All right, so just like you would do, and again, Juan, you know, not an expert in exactly with well pumps, but I'll give you what it says here. It says insulate the exposed pipes and the components. So trying to wrap any of the pipes that are exposed, you can try and wrap that up with blankets, or if you have anything else, you know, if you have some kind of insulated foam or anything that you could wrap around it, that's probably a good idea. It talks about using heat tape. Enclose the pump in an insulated structure. Yeah, good luck trying to build that this soon, right? Keep the water moving. So keep it on. Just like any pump, just like the pool pumps out there, keep the water moving. The well water below the frost line typically stays unfrozen, but exposed pipes, the pump itself, and the pressure tanks are vulnerable. Yeah. Basically, wrapping them. If you have any way to kind of wrap them. So basically what I would do, Juan, because now it's what, almost 8:30, so you're not going to be able to go out and do some of the larger preps. What I would probably suggest is if you can get blankets or towels and wrap them around the pipes and just try and take whatever heat is left outside right now and trap it to the pipes themselves, and of course have the water moving. Because again, we're not trying to make these pipes 40, 50 degrees. What we're really trying to do is keep them above that magic 32-degree mark. And the way that you can really help the pipes out, if you keep the water flowing, that water's not going to get still, and that water's not going to begin to freeze. If the pump is in a building, a 100 watt incandescent light can keep the space warm. Yeah, if it's in an enclosed area, doing something like that as well. Test how cold the pipes are with your tongue. Oh, geez. Too late for the pipe wrap. You know, it probably is, but you can still, I mean, with temperatures still slightly above freezing, you can give it a shot. But that's a tough one this deep into the freeze, unfortunately. Yeah, but if anyone has a well pump, if you wouldn't mind letting us know in the comment section below what you did to prepare, because look, even if Juan and others can't take those necessary steps tonight, right? We're a big community here. We're a big friendly community here at CFLW. We can prepare better tomorrow night as well. So again, it's not something I don't have a lot of personal experience with. My thought would be, you got to run the pump. You got to cover the exposed pipes. One says, I covered a large plastic tarp and ran the spigot, but enough, not sure. It's probably a good idea. Now, friends, correct me if I'm wrong, but plastic tarp may not be the best material. I believe plastic may not be the best for insulation, but it's better than nothing. Yep, make sure you drip the pipes. Again, to give you guys an idea, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about all of this live tonight because these are the morning lows tomorrow morning. So if you've lived in Central Florida for a while, I was born and raised here, moved away for a while to work in television across the country. By the way, I worked in Albany, New York, so this is like a late March typical morning for them, but not for us. And again, we have conditions and infrastructure that are different than other areas that see this kind of cold, right? We have tropical plants. Our homes are not built for this. We've got exposed piping out there. We're not insulated as much in a couple of areas. So we have to prepare for this because we have not seen these temperatures in 15 years in a lot of areas. For most folks, tomorrow morning is going to be as cold as it has been since 2010. And we are likely to break record lows and shatter them in many locations. Orlando's record low tomorrow morning is 28. I've got us down to 24. Tampa, 27, 31. Not going to break a record. Daytona, 30, will break a record down to 25. Brooksville at 23 is going to tie a record low. Or Lakeland, goodbye to your record low probably by about 1 a.m. down to 24 tomorrow morning. So we talked about how Polk County right now is still in the lower 40s. By the way, shout out to Grady Judd and everyone else out there, my friends in Polk County. Look, this is an area, interior, Central Florida, rural, cold, cold, cold. No urban heat island effect there, right? Concrete absorbs a lot more heat, right? Grass doesn't. Radiates it out faster. It gets a lot cooler in rural areas quicker. A lot of Polk County is that. 24 the morning low. St. Pete 36. Not below freezing, but breaking a record low tomorrow, getting down to 34. Ocala says goodbye to the record low, down to 20 degrees. Sanford down to 24, and Melbourne in at 26. So this is why we're spending some time talking about these cold weather preps. Because again, what you're looking at on this graphic is your morning low for tomorrow morning and your minimum feels like temperature, right? I put Palm Coast in at 8. St. Augustine has already hit 8. Again, at the 8 o'clock hour tonight, St. Augustine had a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust, which brought their feels like temperature for a brief time down to 8 degrees. Grace says, I took 2 black garage bags and a towel to cover the well pump outside. There you go. Okay. Appreciate you guys letting us know what you've been doing. David says, I'm from Minnesota. Keep the water moving in the pipes. The trickle should be fine. All exposed plastic pipes should have water moving at a greater rate than steel pipes if possible. Great advice, David. I concur wholeheartedly. Again, pool pumps need to be running. Solar panels need to be in the on position so that, especially if they're on the roof, so that the water in the solar panels are moving constantly. If you have a water feature like a waterfall, make sure that pump is on. If you have an individual pool pump and an individual water feature pump, make sure both are running. Look, we don't have to do this very often, right? So whatever electricity we're using, who cares? It pales in comparison to having any kind of water damage, 2 pipes bursting. It can be an outrageous expense. So what I'm going to be doing with my pool is it's on manual running right now, and I'm not going to shut it off until Monday evening. Just going to let it run. Just let it run. Who cares? It is what it is. I would rather deal with a little bit more electricity expense than having to pay for any type of burst pipe damage. In the same situation with those exposed faucets as well. I've got a good trickle going. It's not even a little drip. I've got a good little trickle going, right? Ones on pavers, could be a little bit of ice tomorrow morning. I'm going to watch out for that. If you are dripping it onto concrete or you're dripping it onto pavers, keep that in mind that you might get a little bit of ice accumulation there, but again, it's well worth it. Make sure you disconnect the hoses as well. And if you want to take a towel or a blanket and wrap them around that exposed faucet, especially where the pipe comes out from the home, that's a good idea too. Waterfalls freeze up, no doubt about it. News from Denellen from Port St. Lucie. Well, welcome, Juan. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all the new friends of the channel. Again, CFLW, I'm live. You can see my information below. Listen, bottom line is I'm on live when there's impactful weather here in Florida to come on and cover it for you. Be it freeze, be it severe thunderstorms, be it tornado warnings, tropical storms, hurricanes. It's a live only channel. I'm only on when there's impactful weather. So thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Make sure you have the notifications on. I'm not going to bombard you with notifications, right? If you get a notification from the channel, you know something's happening and you might want to tune in. Appreciate all the new friends of the channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Back over to the HER model here. One other thing I haven't touched on yet. So let me bring up the HER model one more time. And then we'll go over here. And I'm going to take this, just to give you guys an idea. I've shown you my forecast. But if I take this to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we look at temperature. So this is the HER model. It's the high resolution rapid refresh. It updates hourly, right? Great high resolution model. Now, I certainly trust my forecast. I've taken a composite of things I've been keeping an eye on. But if we wanted to look at just what is one showing tomorrow morning, I'll go to 6 a.m. even. It might even be a little bit colder at 6 a.m. It's going to be close. Sometime between 6 and 7, we should bottom off. But what are we showing here? I'll start off with my friend Blue Goose. about 23 in St. Augustine. I think it could be as cold as 20 in St. Augustine, okay? Crescent Beach, 20. Palm Coast, I've got in at 20. The HER has 22.6. It's a deep freeze. Flagler Beach, 24. Pearson, 22, 23. There's Daytona, 25. That's basically in line with what I have as a morning low. Same thing for Port Orange. You know what? I could just leave these on here. I can just do this. So again, if you're this is the HER model, just an idea. You know, what's the model that updates hourly, giving us as its newest information for morning lows tomorrow? Yeah, they've got Gainesville 21. I've got Ocala at 20. They've got, you know, you get just outside of the heat island of downtown Ocala, and they're at 20 and a half. So let's say 20 to 22 in Ocala. Ah, look at that. Remember I mentioned teens. Levy County, western side. I saw a 19. There it is. So there's Denellen just below. Crystal River, my friends, my hometown, hard freeze. Get prepared. How about Hernando? 19 degrees on the HER model. Inverness, not much better, 21. Homosassa Springs. There's your 19 to 20 in the villages. Man, that's rough, guys. It's cold. Bellevue in at 21 or 22. Again, just give you a another little flavor here of what I can do. We can query these numbers. These are actual air temperatures from the HER model tomorrow morning. It's got Orlando even colder than what I do. Am I being too generous? It's got Orlando tomorrow morning at 22. Now, here's an interesting thing. You say, why is Winter Garden 27, right? Lake Apopka. West winds coming off of the lake will make the southern and the eastern sides of Orange County warmer. It's a little heat effect because, again, the water off of Lake Apopka, large lake, has to be a big lake like Lake Apopka, warm enough relative to the air to keep things on the lee side of this just a little bit warmer. And the models pick it up. This HER model's really good about that. It's got to be like the Oakland Winter Garden area towards Plant Street. You get east of the 429 towards Ocoee, you're down to 23. Winter Garden and Ocoee butt up against each other, but there could be a 4 or 5 degree temperature difference between Winter Garden and Ocoee tomorrow morning. But what's the bottom line? Everyone freezes, still a good, hard, long duration freeze. Hey, Metro West, how you doing? 22 to 23 tomorrow morning. MCO 22, Lake Nona. I feel like I might have been too warm. I had 23 to 24 in Metro Orlando tomorrow morning. HER has one up me by a little bit here. 22 Kissimmee, 22 and a half. Hey, Joey Forum, hello from Pensacola, 29 already. So Pensacola already well below freezing with a wind chill of 18. What time will it snow? I wish there was more in the way of snow, Gail. We've mentioned that. Again, the air has been dried out a bit. If there were to be a few flakes, it would be along the immediate west coast. But the air has dried out pretty quickly here. So there's Titusville 29. And again, it's dependent, right? Here, Merritt Island is actually in at 25 as well. Pineda, Melbourne area 23, even O'Galley, Satellite Beach, you even get to the Barrier Islands. A1A, Beachfront Avenue, Satellite Beach, 27 degrees tomorrow morning. And again, these are the HER model numbers. I've shown you my particular forecast. We're in line. If anything else, the HER model has come down a degree or two, and it is a degree or two cooler in some spots compared to my morning lows. Sumter County, low 20s. Spring Hill, 23. Dade City, 23. Zephyr Hills. This is the interesting one here. Again, not going to be a freeze. Coastal Pasco, coastal Pinellas counties. I think 34 to 36 is a likely number. St. Pete, Pinellas Park, Largo, and we've got around 36. You start to drift into western Hillsborough County, up the Veterans towards Citrus Park, Odessa. You start to flirt with freezing. Probably not a long enough freeze to have any concerns. Now look, if I lived in Citrus Park, if I lived in Odessa, up the Veterans, Carrollwood, Northdale, I am going to take my cold weather preps. I'm just not going to risk it, right? The duration shouldn't be long enough, but if you got tender vegetation, right, even 1 to 2 hours can be harmful. Town and country right around 30. And again, here you go. Now you slip down to Tampa, and I have 31, and the HER has 30. Even South Tampa, towards Bayshore, slightly below freezing. But then you get just a little east, and Brandon gets down to 28, and Mango does as well, and Dover, and Plant City. Gibsonton will be below freezing, Ruskin as well. So, 75 towards 301 here. My friends in Temple Terrace, 28, and University, 28. Land O'Lakes, 27. So if I just zoom out a little bit here, the biggest spread in a shorter area for temperatures is going to be the Tampa area, and it's the west fetch of wind tapping into the relatively warmer waters of the Gulf, keeping some areas along the immediate coast above freezing. You get away from the bay, away from the Gulf, and you start to bottom off quickly. Just below freezing in downtown Tampa, and then east and north, upper 20s. The freeze duration time there could be somewhat significant, 2 to 8 hours, depending on where you are. Hey, Elaine, how you doing? North Merritt Island near KSC, very windy here in 30. Control cam, 31 in St. Augustine. So we already have temperatures below freezing in the St. Augustine area. Thank you very much for that. Will there be flurries in Oviedo? I am not expecting that. Not expecting flurries. If I go back over here to our composite radar and get rid of all of these temperatures, goodbye temperatures. Let's get this composite radar on. What I want to show you guys with this is the trend is the air is drying out. So this is a loop of the last 6 hours. Now, there wasn't enough snow embedded within this for the algorithms to turn any of this white. But again, we have ground truth reports and video from Tallahassee and Gainesville and Jacksonville of some snow flurries. Some of it a little bit more significant other, and even some reports out of, and a few flakes, nothing more than that, coastal Citrus and Hernando counties as well, right? But the air has been drying out here as we've gone deeper into the evening hours. So the opportunity for the flurries begins to go away. And remember, what we have to do here is you have to coordinate the moisture in the low levels of the atmosphere with getting temperatures closer to freezing. It doesn't have to necessarily be at 32 at the surface to get a few flakes of snow. We can get a few flakes of snow at 36, 37 degrees, but all of that moisture has quickly been frittered away as that plunge of true cold Arctic air has come in. So, this is a snapshot as we hit 9 o'clock, getting closer to it, where now we're basically devoid of any moisture. And I can show you guys the live radars as well. I've got access to all of this here at CFLW. This is the live radar out of the Tampa area. Even though it's not sweeping, I'm looking at the half degree here, which is at the lowest levels. That's where we would see a few snowflakes. I don't see anything there. Let's bring this on and bring up Melbourne's radar. So switch over to Melbourne, if it will let me. Maybe not. Let's see. Oh, let me turn the radar off. Now it should let me, hopefully. Let's see here. It's really not a big deal because you know why? It's going to show nothing anyway, regardless. All right. Every so often it hangs up on one site, but that's okay. Anyway, you're not going to see. It doesn't really matter. If there was really any moisture, we would see it here in Tampa because of the Gulf enhancement, if you will, with the winds coming out of the west. So if we're not picking up anything from the lowest slice of the radar from Tampa, we're not going to see anything. Show you guys a couple other things here. So that'll be the arrows, will be where the wind direction is. So again, it's all coming out of there. Let me also throw on a little satellite presentation for you guys too. So again, everything's just really dried out quickly. That's the point I'm trying to make. So many things to show you guys. I'm trying to go through them all. It's like, what do I want to show you next? So here's a loop up of the infrared satellite imagery and the radar. And you can just see those wispy grays, those are the low level clouds. That's what will be holding in a little bit of the sprinkle activity or a little bit in the way of those snowflakes. But this is all dried out very quickly here, right? As the front continues to plunge through. The front itself is very clear on the infrared satellite imagery. It has now cleared Miami. So again, the Miami area is going to see temperatures drop very quickly. And remember, they are under a freeze warning for the western and northern sides of Metro Miami. No, unfortunately, I'm not, again, if there's going to be a few flurries, it will probably be along the immediate west coast in Hernando and Citrus counties, but even that opportunity is going away. You notice that their air is really drying out here. The infrared satellite imagery, we would still see the low clouds in that gray, which is the lowest levels of the atmosphere, and that has gone away, and skies have cleared out pretty quickly. If I go over to Arlene Law Cam from Winter Park in Orlando, again, this is a live look to our camera here in Winter Park, night vision, but you can clearly see skies have cleared out very nicely, right? Not a lot in the way of clouds, just a few thin high clouds out there right now. Stars in the background, so the air has dried out at the lower levels. Again, not going to give you a big opportunity for there to be any snow underneath that. Same situation from our Conway cam. Again, a bit of a breeze here, very cold along the lakes. Just a little bit in the way of some thinner high clouds out there. Again, you have questions about the forecast, let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate all of the support of the channel as well. Once again, thank you very much to Gaming with Jamie, Fiona, Cole, Juan, and Rhea for their support of the channel. Their super thanks and their super stickers. If you would like to do that as well, that's the what is that? It's the little money sign or something like that, right? I don't even know. I have it on administrator mode. I'm more worried about the chat, but I appreciate that as well. For the first time in 5 decades. So again, I grew up in Crystal River, and we had the same situation happen in 1989, and we did get some real flurries. And that's the last time I have personally experienced any snow here in Florida, and it's not much, right? The air gets so dry as it tries to come through. We don't typically get a lot in the way of flurries like that. But again, please prepare for this duration of freeze. Now again, your temperatures are updating live in real time underneath the bottom of the screen, our lower third here. And we're starting to get some of our northern areas knocking on the door of freezing. Again, Gainesville, St. Augustine already below freezing. Yep. Again, your preps here. I think the biggest one for most folks, disconnect the hoses, insulate the pipes, drip the faucets, turn off the sprinklers. You don't want a sheet of ice on your lawn tomorrow morning. Cover the sensitive plants, get them indoors if you can. Run your pool, run any kind of pump, keep the water flowing. Pool, water features, solar panels, make sure they're all on. Just let them run overnight. You'll thank me for it. It's a lot easier to deal with the couple dollars in electricity compared to having burst pipes. Bring the pets inside. If they're cold, you're cold. Make sure their food and their water's not frozen as well. Please check on everyone. I joke the tender dates, but I'm serious in the fact of that. For those who may not just understand how cold it's going to be, keep that in mind. And again, just a little piece of information. If you don't have windshield wiper fluid that is rated to, not freeze when it gets below 32, windshield wiper fluid can freeze in vehicles that are left outside. Hey, Rhea. Never seen a single snowflake in your life. I worked in West Virginia. I worked in New York. I worked in Missouri. I worked in Oklahoma. I had to get outside of Florida, outside of the one bit of snow in 1989 growing up here. I had to get outside of Florida as well. But I think most folks live here for that reason, that they don't see a lot of, turn on your tender dates. There you go. Do we bring in iguanas? Oh man, I have many, many things to say about iguanas. I wouldn't bring them in. Yeah, it's nasty. If we go back out to this big picture here. So we're going to start to get the 9 o'clock numbers coming in right now. And you're just going to see more and more of these temperatures get down close to that magic 32-degree mark. And again, with the winds that are still quite strong. Here, let me show you these gusts. Again, look at these gusts over the last couple of hours. Sarasota's even had a 45-mile-an-hour wind. Sanford, 37. MCO hit nearly 50-mile-an-hour wind, and that's in just the last hour or two. And then your feels like temperature, which again, St. Augustine, 8. A lot of us in the 20s, but already feels like temperatures below freezing, and a lot of areas are going to be going below freezing in the next hour. Between 9 and 10, a lot of us will see a temperature below 32. And again, if you're just tuning in, your extreme cold warning, which is about as bad as it can get for us here, is in effect and goes all the way close to the Miami metro area. It goes south of Lake Okeechobee. It gets close to Fort Lauderdale. And again, Miami right now is under a freeze warning west of I-95. Tampa area, extreme cold warning, freeze warning, wind advisory. Same thing for the Orlando area. To give you a flavor of what that really is, if I bring up the actual advisory here, again, the wind advisories for 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, gusts to 50. Wind chill values, 17 to 20, but I'm telling you, they're going to be colder than that in a couple of spots. And then a second extreme cold warning and a second freeze warning, 7 p.m. tomorrow night to 10 a.m. Monday, to 10 a.m. That's why I'm going to be back on live tomorrow night, covering the freeze, just like we did tonight for Sunday night and into Monday. Friends, we're running this back a second time. This is not a one-time deal. We've got tonight, might be slightly colder tomorrow morning compared to Monday morning, but still an exceptional long-duration freeze for Monday morning as well. You got an MTB. Thanks for the stream. Local news. Well, we don't deal with those folks. Ping wants to know at MacDill, will there be any snow flurries? It's an area that has the best chance, but I think that chance now is basically gone by the wayside, to answer your question, Ping. And again, the reason why is that even though you guys are close to the Gulf and we're getting some Gulf-induced moisture coming in, the air has been drying out very quickly. And so we just didn't have the timing. We didn't have temperatures cold enough at the lower levels and the moisture still present to really throw in a few flurries. Still could see one or two. And if you do, remember, send me a picture or video, cflwlive@gmail.com. Again, I'll be back on tomorrow night. So if you send me those pictures and videos now, we can show them to you guys tomorrow. And the really cool thing, again, a lot of changes coming to the channel in 2026, some technology upgrades as well. With some of that technology upgrade, the ability to more than likely turn around these pictures and videos in real time. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So if you guys send me pictures and videos, we'll be able to show them in real time. There are ways to do that in near real time right now. But hopefully with the new system we're going to be bringing in as we get towards the spring, be looking forward to that. Again, if you guys are friends of the channel, doing a lot of work to the actual studio, 3 layers of paint, new flooring coming in. Then we'll start the upgrades technology-wise. I'll talk more about that when those get implemented, but excited to share some of those with you as we get deeper into spring, of course, for severe thunderstorm season here, the sea breeze storms, the tropical storms, the hurricanes, anything like that. We'll be covering them for you guys live here on the channel. Not expecting a lot more snow here, guys. If you guys have seen any, let me know. But again, not expecting it for the most part. The air has really dried out. And again, out west, the freeze warnings, temperatures as cold as 20 degrees in some spots. Lightsaber with Tauntaun, yeah. I mean, look, if it gets that cold that we're talking about, Star Wars kind of cold, we got some problems. All right. Let's go back out here real quick. No snow flurries in Hudson. As far as to my best call, even though Hudson is right along the coast, right? The air has dried out as it's gotten cold enough to produce that snow flurry. I mean, if you sat there and stared at one point, could you see potentially a flake? Yes. But is there anything substantial coming? I do not believe so. The timing was just slightly off. Again, the light snow flurries got as far south as Citrus County. We had some reported in Crystal River, even a few flakes in Inverness. There was some decent flurries in Gainesville. Saw a video earlier today at a University of Florida. Kids were outside, a little bit of snow. Same thing for Jacksonville and especially over Tallahassee as well. So now, friends, we've hit 9 o'clock. Start to get some of these new numbers that'll be popping up here pretty quickly. Let's check Orlando's number. So 8:53, MCO is still at 36. I think we were 37 last hour. We've come down a degree. Leesburg at 34, Inverness 34. So, you know, we're on the precipice again of getting down to freezing. Daytona Beach is already down to 36. DeLand is coming down to 34. Snow flurries in Newport, which again, I don't expect it. I don't expect it. Again, the air's dried out just a little bit too much here. It would be cool. It would be great to see. Some folks north of us earlier today did. Don't think it's going to happen for anywhere else in Central Florida. I think it's just all about the cold, how cold it's going to be, and again, the preps that you guys need to take. So let's run back through one more time again for those, again, people coming in and out of the stream. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks for taking the second, hit that like button. Thanks for subscribing. Appreciate those who have supported the channel, be the super thanks and the super chat. There are other ways to support the channel in the description below, PayPal, Venmo, things like that. Again, all of that been reinvesting into the channel here the last year or two. Appreciate the sponsor of this live stream, the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. You see their logo at the bottom of the screen. There will be more sponsorship opportunities available as we move into spring. If you're interested, throw me an email at cflwlive@gmail.com. Happy to discuss that with you guys as well. Appreciate all the support. Just watching, just tuning in, hitting that like button. It helps out the channel more than you guys think. Again, the interaction, YouTube algorithm that loves it, says, hey, these folks like this channel. They want to talk about the channel. They want to hit that like button. We're going to recommend to others who don't even know the channel exists. That's how we grow. Appreciate you guys. Again, morning lows tomorrow. A lot of low and mid 20s. Feels like temperatures single digits to teens. Again, the feels like number won't be that cold all morning long, but this is the minimum you should prepare for. And the freeze duration, again, 10, 12, 14, 15 hours in some spots. I'm going to show you that graphic one more time right now. Freeze duration in hours. We've already gone below freezing in Palm Coast. We're about ready to go below freezing in Ocala. It could be 10 or 11 a.m. tomorrow morning for some areas to get above freezing. Almost everyone outside of, again, Western Hillsborough, Pinellas, coastal coastal Pasco counties, which won't see a freeze. Everyone else, just inland, that freeze duration is so much longer. It's basically a 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 9 a.m. event, 10, 11, 12 plus hours, right? Exceptionally cold. Look, Kissimmee's down to 35. Kissimmee's now down to 35. So now we're just 3 degrees there. Even the Cape has dropped down to 38. East, south, one of the warmest areas. Claremont's in at 35 as well. Notice as well that I have our live conditions updating. Notice skies have cleared out. Again, it's an indication that the moisture is gone from the atmosphere, so the opportunity for any kind of flurry activity kind of goes along with it as well. No flurries there in Bradenton. Got some snow in Perry. Yep, absolutely. Perry up there in the Big Bend, right there on 19. Boy, I used to, growing up in Crystal River, getting up, I used to work in Biloxi and would take 19 up through Perry to hit I-10 and then get on over west on I-10. Yeah, so Tallahassee, Monticello, Madison, Perry, Live Oak, Lake City, western, northern sides of Jacksonville, Gainesville, all reported a little bit in the way of some snow flurries today. Okay. So, anyone have any specific questions about the forecast? And then I want to talk to you about a couple of coverage things we're going to be doing here on the channel. But happy to answer. Again, hopefully everyone is taking this seriously. Everyone saw the cold weather preps I discussed. Remember, even if you, first of all, if you need to step outside and get something simple done, I still recommend doing it. If for some reason you didn't fully prepare for this cold tonight, you have a second opportunity tomorrow night and into Monday morning. We're gonna go below freezing again tomorrow morning, or excuse me, Monday morning. So you gotta get prepared. Tomorrow morning, Monday morning, hard freezes coming our way. Just bring back on this satellite imagery here so you guys can see the skies are clearing out. You did 3rd grade in Biloxi? I did 3 years in Biloxi. That's cool, Blue Goose. Straw works great in the tub or box for outdoor critters. There you go. Grace has been dropping a lot of knowledge here for our outdoor friends. Yeah, that wind is still so significant. And you know what? It's an awesome thing you guys are doing, chatting in real time with each other, letting everyone know what your thoughts are. You got any, again, ideas, a cold weather preparation, letting everyone know. Maybe there's an idea we haven't thought about. Let us know. Not expecting flurries in Orlando. Not expecting flurries. Again, I wish there was a little bit better opportunity. But we just kind of missed out between the moisture and the coldest air outside of our far northwest areas. But, you know, again, we've really haven't seen a lot of flurry activity here. Windows are gasping for air. Meaning not expecting snow in Ocala. It's dried out. What I am expecting in Ocala is an absurdly cold night, about 20 for the morning low. Ocala has already begun to flirt down to freezing. Ocala down to 34 right now. Again, temperatures real time at 9:09 this evening, 9:08, 9:09 this evening, 34, 35, 36 degrees. Up in Gainesville, 30. St. Augustine, 36. But again, that's still their 7 o'clock report. Daytona's report is new. Again, let's look at these feels like temperatures too. So you step outside, you need to finish a cold weather prep in Orlando. You're stepping outside to a 23 degree feels like temperature. Lake Nona, 28 downtown, 23 Sanford, Lake Mary. Feels like it's 25 in Leesburg. It feels like it's 22 already in Ocala. Even in the Tampa area, downtown Tampa, that's going to be the airport. TPA, 29 degrees. 33 in the Dover area. Lakeland, it feels like it's 28 right now. I would be in the hot tub, yes. You know, I was even talking, the question about it is that if you have a pool and a hot tub and you can only turn on one, do you really want to turn on the hot tub and the pool not run? I would imagine if you only do the hot tub because the pool temperature is warm enough and the pipes are probably okay if you've run it, get in the hot tub for a little bit. But if you just have a hot tub by itself, I would definitely have my phone watching the channel and be in the hot tub. Absolutely. Yeah, Fiona's right on it, letting you guys know that no precipitation, no moisture left equals no snow. Again, hey Palm Bay Jags fan, really windy here in Palm Bay. Will the wind prevent frost everywhere in the morning? So the answer to that is no, okay? We're going to get what we call an advection freeze that's going to be coming in, meaning that the winds in the air are cold enough where we're basically going to have the frost and the ice accrete onto surfaces, especially elevated surfaces, despite the wind, right? When you have a still night, that's called radiation frost and freeze, right? Where the air is the warmer air is radiating away, being radiated into the atmosphere, and that allows the frost and freeze to form. But when you have these kinds of winds, you can, in this kind of cold, well below freezing, you can actually get the ice to just accrete directly on the surfaces. So yes, we will get that, despite the fact of the wind. But great question, Palm Bay Jags fan. And I hope that explanation was worthy. Yeah, you got to stay out of the wind, guys. It's brutal. It is a beautiful night. I mean, look, I do like the cold weather. I'm not the biggest fan of all the preps we have to take in this, but if nothing else, you get a crisp night. Boy, if you don't like the humidity of summertime, you want to feel the complete opposite. That air just into your lungs, man, it burns, man. You feel it outside. Again, let's go over some of these preps and what I'm expecting for those who are just tuning in, and I appreciate everyone who is. Once again, kind of a general sense of what you should expect in Central Florida. The hard freeze tonight with temperatures in the 20s. A lot of areas, 12-hour sub-freezing temperatures. It's the duration of the freeze, near record or record lows. We have an extreme cold warning for everyone outside of coastal Pinellas, all Pinellas and western sides of Hillsborough County. Extreme cold warning, 9 to 15 degree wind chill values or feels like temperatures tomorrow morning. The wind advisory is in effect through tomorrow morning as well. Again, the winds are still going to be howling overnight. It's going to just continue to push in this true Arctic air, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, gusts up to 50, dangerous boating conditions. I've shown this graphic several times, but for those who are just tuning in, it's every single kind of cold weather prep that you would anticipate having to take here in Central Florida. First of all, take care of yourself. You can be outdoors. Again, it's not 30 degrees below zero, but it is a kind of cold where you need to make sure you're adequately dressed. Dress in layers. Minimize time outdoors. Cover that exposed skin. Hats, gloves, and scarves. Great idea. For true preps to our property, we want to disconnect the hoses to the outside faucets. We want to make sure we insulate those exposed pipes. So anything sticking out of the exterior of the home, wrap that in a towel or a blanket. Drip those outdoor faucets. Even a nice solid trickle is not a bad idea. Please remember to turn off those sprinklers. You don't want a sheet of ice. Cover sensitive plants. You know, the tropical plants that will not be cold tolerant. Obviously, citrus crops are very much in danger tonight, and farmers taking, the precautions they need to for a significant hard freeze. If you have plants, you can move them indoors if you can, or get them close to your home. There'll be a little bit more heat radiated from your home. Not much, but we just want to keep it above 32. Run your pools, run your pools, run your pools, your water features, your solar panels, make sure they are on and water is flowing through them, especially if they're on the roofs. Bring the pets inside. If you're cold, they're cold. Make sure their food, their water isn't frozen. Again, any kind of pump, just running it is the right call. Make sure you check on everyone, the elderly, your neighbors, fam, friends. Maybe you've had a tender date lately and you like that person. Make sure that they understand what's going on with the cold weather tonight in Central Florida. And again, just a little tidbit of knowledge, windshield wiper fluid, if it's not rated to be below freezing and not freeze up, it could when we're talking about these kinds of temperatures. Again, records will likely fall tomorrow. I've got Orlando at 24, Tampa below freezing, but not a record low. Daytona Beach breaks a record low by 5 degrees, down to 25. Brooksville hits 23, ties a record low, and I believe that record low is more than 115 years old. I believe when I was looking at it, probably should have written it down, but there's a lot going on, that Brooksville's record low tomorrow was pre-1910. So it gives you an idea how long we're talking about. Lakeland, just like you guys did in November. Remember we had the freeze in November, the shockingly early freeze in Central Florida, where Lakeland broke their record low by more than 10 degrees. You're going to break your record low tomorrow by about 9. Can't even rule out 10 degrees, getting down to 24. St. Pete will not go below freezing, but they are going to break a record low, getting down to 34 degrees tomorrow morning. Ocala, my forecast is 20, breaking the record low of 24. Sanford down to 24, breaking their record low by 6 full degrees. Same thing for Melbourne. It's a half dozen degrees below the record low of 32, getting all the way down to 26 tomorrow morning. All right. Again, pictures, videos, flurries and freeze, I can use tomorrow on the live stream. cflwlive@gmail.com. Make sure you keep those videos under 20 seconds. All right, let's talk about programming. Here's what's going to happen. For those who are new to the channel, I do this fairly often when we have long duration events like this. I come on live. I talk about it, get everyone prepared, answer questions, show you everything. By the way, colder than Iceland by far today. Gee whiz. Here's what's going to happen, okay? This radar system, this weather computer, my live cameras, all the graphics that I made are going to be live streaming for you overnight so that you guys can keep touch with the weather whenever you want to. So when I end this live stream, a few minutes later, I'm going to start a brand new live stream with some funky, awesome music to go along with all of this information that you guys are saying, so you can continue to check on the temperature in your area in real time. The temperatures at the bottom of your screen will be updating in real time as well. That live stream will go on continuously overnight through tomorrow morning. I will then be back on live around the same time tomorrow night, so I hope you join me for appointment viewing tomorrow evening. I'll schedule that live stream. We'll again talk live about what happened tonight and overnight, show you any pictures and videos, and get you prepared for another hard freeze for Monday morning. But now we'll be talking about getting the kids back to school in the hard freeze and getting you back to work potentially during the hard freeze on Monday morning as well. So a little bit more in the way of some potential changes. You know, a lot of folks might be able to stay inside for the weekend if you're a Monday through Friday worker. I know a lot of you aren't. I hardly ever was for most of my career. But obviously, getting the kids back on Monday morning, it's going to be really cold. So we'll get you prepared for that as well. Oh, big time funky music, Blue Goose. You know that music I got for you. About the same as Greenland. I saw something there not that long ago that like Pensacola started off the morning warmer than Anchorage did. Something like that. Check on the tender days. Yeah, you got to. I mean, not for me. I've been married for 15 years, but you know, you never know. The lizards are going to have a tough time. The lizards are not going to appreciate it. What about Sebring? Sure. Go back to my system here. Sebring. Now, why am I blanking on exactly where Sebring is? Why am I blanking where Sebring is? What county is Sebring in? Wait a minute. No, that's Seabreeze. Where are you, Sebring? Where is Sebring? That's just like a brain fart. I'm going to like knock myself in the head. What county is Sebring in? Remember to turn on your tender dates. Highlands? Okay, is that why? All right. Okay, yeah. I was like, man, I knew it was further south. So, for Sebring, Highlands County, you guys are under the extreme cold warning, the freeze warning, the wind advisory, same situation there. The extreme cold warning has a hard freeze as cold as 20 degrees. Now, it may not get that cold in Sebring, but expect a long duration freeze there as well. The wind advisory, gusts up to 35. The wind advisory, let's see what the feels like temperatures here. As 8 above 0. There you go. So, minimums in sea breeze, 20 degrees, 8 degree wind chill value. Thank you. Sea breeze is so like place. Oh, stop it. I love everyone. I forgot whether it was on the coast. Obviously, it's not an area we cover all the time here on CFLW, but I'm happy to. But I just had a brain fart exactly where it was. What is Wesley Chapel looking like? Yeah, cold. I actually visited Wesley Chapel last year. By the way, when I was growing up in Central Florida, in Crystal River and down I-75, that didn't even exist. I went to the Florida Sunshine Brewery there, I believe. Anyway, the bottom line is I expect the Wesley Chapel area to be in that 24, 25 degree range for tomorrow morning as well. And again, you know, the Weather Service in Ruskin, which is the Tampa Bay area, excuse me, they're just going to put out this is the general what you expect down to 20, but I would expect that area to be 20 to 25 degrees So up 75 here, there's 275 interchange, so around Wesley Chapel. If we go back over to this other graphic that I made for you, not that one, this one. I've got that area, Zephyr Hills, you know, Lando Lakes, even Citrus Park, Carrollwood, you know, Brandon, 24, maybe 25 degrees. Coconut Creek. Coconut Creek is southeast, isn't it? How close to Miami are we there in Coconut Creek? Where along the East Coast is Coconut Creek? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Let me know exactly where it is. Well, I know it's in South Florida. Soup is calling your name. I'm interested in that as well. Here's the bottom line. Lived in Wesley Chapel for around 8 years now. There you go. The bottom line. Should we ask me sure it's okay? I'm taking this as good news. I mean, look, if you want to be nice, you could. Broward County? Okay. I don't see you still. Can we just say this general area? Because it's all going to be about the same. Let me just give you the general Miami area here, even though I can't find Coconut Creek. So listen, if you live east of I-95 down here, it's going to be above freezing. Wind advisory, yes, but the purple is the freeze warning. So you get just inland. Basically, the Weather Service has taken I-95 and made it the delineation line between freeze and no freeze in the Miami area. But, you know, anywhere west of there, Tamiami and Hialeah, Coral Springs, and then you get into Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm Beach areas here, that's the extreme cold warning. So we are expecting a freeze in the western and northern sides of Metro Miami, and then anywhere north and west of that, an even longer duration freeze is possible. That's how cold it's going to be with the extreme cold warning in blue south of Lake Okeechobee. That's how exceptionally cold it's going to be all the way down into South Florida. Zoom in. Next to Coral Springs, got it. Now, I want to be clear. I can't guarantee you it's on my map either, although it should be, but I can't guarantee it. There it is. We found it. Hallelujah. Yeah, you're into the freeze warning. So you're west of I-95. Freeze warning in effect. Now, not a big freeze down there. Probably 1 to 2 hour freeze warning for Coconut Creek, but a wind chill value as cold as 21. See what's going on down there right now. Let me bring on the current temperatures. Now, this is your live temperature here. So in the Lauderdale area, still 54. Still 54, so they got some time to get cold, but that wind is howling too. So, you know, actual air temperatures now are still in the 50s down here in Southeast Florida. Oh, well, there you go, Eduardo. Hope I answered your question. Appreciate you guys helping me out exactly where that was. That was like, where's Waldo? Yeah, no Macintosh very well. Hard freeze in Macintosh. Hard freeze in Macintosh. So Micanopy, yeah, but I went to UF, so no Macintosh very well. Hard freeze, probably around 20 for a morning low, maybe even around 19. Again, if I go back over to the HER model here, and just look at the temperature. So tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., we've got 21-ish to 22, if we're lucky. happened here is that we've gone under a new, now let me single frame that please. Since I've been on long enough, we've actually gotten a new model run of the HER. It updates hourly. 21, 22. I'm just checking the different time frames here. Let's try 6. About the same. I would still venture to believe, though, that a lot of Marion and southern Alachua County are going to get right around 20 for morning low. Yeah, Valrico, yep. So Brandon, Valrico, Seffner, Mango in the house. I don't know if Valrico is going to pop up specifically here, but I'm still expecting, by the way, this is the HER model. I'm still expecting the opportunity for the Valrico area to get as cold as 26, but I do expect 28 to 27 is probably a pretty good number. So anywhere in here, Valrico, Brandon, Seffner, Mango, Dover. Plant City will be colder by a couple degrees. Plant City 24, 25. No, again, anyone who's asking about any snow tonight, unfortunately, if you were looking for a few flurries, and I would be with you guys as well, the moisture in the atmosphere is basically gone. So we just didn't have the correct timing this far south with the cold air to stick around, or the moisture to stick around with the coldest air to come through, right? As the colder air came in, the moisture evaporated away, things dried out too quickly. It happens a lot. We get cold, dry air here in Central Florida, even sub-freezing, but it's very rare to get cold, moisture-laden air enough to produce winter weather. And that's the situation that, again, happened today as well. So, you know, again, reports of a few snowflakes, coastal Citrus County, it's about as far south as they got. You're welcome, Mike. Altamont Springs, about 23 tomorrow morning with a feels like temperature of about 13. That's your minimum. So morning low, duration of the freeze in Altamont Springs likely to be in that 12-hour range. Go back over to that graphic for you real quick. Freeze duration, so Altamont Springs about 12 hours. If it hasn't gotten below freezing yet, it probably will by 10. And then you go under that freeze until about 9 or 10 tomorrow morning. Again, in some ways, guys, 10, 11, 12-hour duration of the freeze, it doesn't really matter much. It's an exceptionally hard freeze. You just have to make sure that your preps continue throughout that freeze duration whenever you go back above 32. Some areas that may not be until 10 or even 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Venice will not be below freezing as far as I believe. I'll be honest, I haven't particularly looked at Venice, but we can take a look. Let's see here, where are you, Venice? How far south do I have to get for Venice? There we go. You know, along the coast, no. Let's see here, bring up the advisories. Yeah, you notice that Venice and west of 75 is not under the extreme cold warning or the freeze warning. So that light purple right there, that's the freeze warning. If you get to the immediate coast, not likely to freeze. So that's the good news for you. And you got to appreciate all the nice comments. Happy to explain that. Again, a simple payback to me is just do me a quick favor and hit that like button if you haven't as of yet. If you haven't subscribed to CFLW, again, the live-only channel, there's something impactful to talk about weather-wise here in Central Florida and across Florida in general. I'm going to jump on live and cover that for you, whether it be this extreme cold in the cold season or more typically when we get our sea breeze storms coming back up and we get into our sea breeze severe thunderstorm season and obviously hurricane season, any kind of tropical storms, hurricanes. I'll be back on live. It's a live only channel, so have notifications on. Not going to inundate you with any, videos or anything like that. When I'm on, there is a reason to be watching. Back over to our cameras. Let's take a look at those real quick, just because Why not? We have them. Again, skies have cleared. This is a very good indication for anyone asking about snow flurries, how the air has dried out. When the air dries out and skies clear, you don't get any snow flurries from clear skies. So unfortunately, again, the timing was just off for most of Central Florida. We're not going to get any snow flurries. But that, I can tell you what, if a picture could speak, it would say I'm cold. That is some real crisp air there from the Lean Log Cam in Winter Park. The breeze in Conway, southeast side of downtown Orlando. We're looking back off to the east, my friends. Skies have cleared here as well. It's getting cold. You can see Crystal River about ready to touch the freezing mark. Live updated temperatures at the bottom of your screen. There's the attractions area. Again, the attractions area is a big deal here in Central Florida because we know there will be a lot of folks who will always be outside in Lake Buena Vista. So it's great to have this camera. This camera is 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom. It's about as close as you can get without being on theme park property. The Magic Kingdom is basically just behind this stand of trees. So great to have this camera during times of thunderstorms. But obviously, if you are a theme park worker or you're heading out early tomorrow morning, you really have to take it seriously. Again, morning low Lake Buena Vista, about 24. The feels like temperature about 13 degrees for a minimum. Now, again, the feels like temperature won't be consistently that low, but with winds still gusting 20 to 30 miles an hour, it can be that cold from time to time. Well, Mike, appreciate you subscribing. Thank you very much, my friend. Big C7 car says, I'm in Ocala. What is the wind chill looking like for me? First of all, appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. The wind chill for you looks like this. 24 warning low in Ocala. The wind chill from time to time overnight. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be, okay, it's 6 a.m., it's 20 degrees. The wind chill is definitely 9. No. Obviously, the winds and their speed correlating with the temperature gives you your feels like number. The minimum overnight in Ocala is 9 degrees. But there could be a time more than once that we get into single digits in Ocala and Bellevue. So minimums, morning low 20, freeze duration 14 to 15 hours in Ocala, and a feels like temperature down to 9. If you're just tuning in, last hour St. Augustine with a 30-mile-an-hour wind already had a wind chill value down to 8. So we've already had one single-digit wind chill value well before midnight tonight. Hey, Surfy W1. Hey, Rusty, love your coverage. Just found CFLW tonight. Born and raised in Florida in Port Orange. Always watch you when I'm traveling into the Bahamas with my Media Mundo channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Surf VW. Thank you so much for finding my other channel. Yeah, I have 3 different channels I do. I do this channel for Central Florida. Media Mundo is for the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Obviously, I cover that year round, but we do a lot of coverage during hurricane season. I have another channel called Weather Express. It's a quick 5-minute video for the entire country. You can find links to those other channels here on the CFLW homepage. Appreciate you guys jumping in and subscribing to those channels as well. Really appreciate that. Exciting changes coming to those channels in 2026 as well. Been doing the Media Mundo channel the longest, but again, all the different technology upgrades that I'm going to be doing for one channel obviously will correlate to other channels, a different look to the channels, different abilities as well. Really excited. I don't want to share it ahead of time, but those changes will be rolled out. If you just tuned in, literally I put the third layer of paint on the studio here yesterday, and then I had to remove everything from the studio to do that. Literally put the studio back together today to do these live streams. Then we're going to get new flooring, and so the studio goes back down for a few days at some point in time in February. But hopefully, man, we are ready to roll with all of our new stuff into the spring. We're going to be rolling it out probably in phases, and again, with this channel, whenever there's a need to come back on live, we'll do it, right? We'll do it again tomorrow night, and we'll do it again with the next cold weather event or the next cold front that brings a tornadic risk. That happens a lot in the cool season here in Central Florida as well. We get these early spring or late winter cold fronts that come in that have the opportunity to bring some strong storms. Can you show wind gusts futurecast possibly? I can, actually. Great question. So I have a lot of things we can do with this system. Let's see here. The HER model will work because we're talking about short term. So let me bring that up. All right. So it's going to be wind gusts. We'll go from tonight at 11 o'clock, and let me bring on the model timeline so you guys can see that. Tell you what here. Through. All right, so that's going to loop up. Now, I can query these numbers individually, and we can do that. Excuse me. If you look at the top of your screen, that's the legend. And these are wind gusts. So these are not sustained winds. These are the highest gusts per hour that you're going to see looping here overnight and into tomorrow, right? Now, the one thing I don't expect to have Sunday night into Monday is the wind. So we're going to be talking about a very still air mass, but a very cold air mass tomorrow night and into Monday. The wind, though, is still a huge story here. So if we look at the winds and gusts right now, right, as we get to 11 o'clock tonight, so in the next hour or so, you're still going to have winds gusting 30, even close to 40 miles an hour. They will die down a bit overnight, but still into the wee hours of the morning, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. Then as we get towards tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., if I take a look at these, you still have wind gusts, Orlando, 25 mile an hour wind gust tomorrow morning. Let's see here, let me bring that back on. Should be able to do more than one here, there we go. So this is just a snapshot of the HER model. Again, updates hourly, high resolution, rapid refresh model. Someone was asking about wind gusts. 6 a.m. tomorrow, you still have gusts that could still be knocking on the door 30 miles an hour. Remember, the wind advisory goes until 7 a.m., and it's because of this, because we could still have winds in that variety that deep into tomorrow morning. Now, obviously, the farther in time that we go, let's take a look at lunchtime tomorrow. Gusts are still likely to be, gusts 20, sustained will probably be 10 to 15, but the wind is going to be a factor tomorrow all day long, right? Tomorrow afternoon's highs are likely to be in the mid 40s, but if you have an air temperature in the 40s, you can still have a wind chill or feels like temperature value, and that will likely be in the 30s most of the afternoon, all right? So that's the wind. That's the winds for lunchtime tomorrow. And then again, deeper into tomorrow night, and now we get to 9 o'clock. And now you start to see some areas where the gusts are less than 10. So the air is going to be way more still tomorrow night and into Monday morning. So now we get that radiational freeze, right? The radiation, we lose the heat of the day, and we start to see that still air sub-freezing, beginning to accrete the frost and the ice on all surfaces, elevated surfaces, mailboxes, windshields, tropical plants, anything you could think of. But great question. Happy to answer that. Poinciana, freezing, likely to be probably mid-20s tomorrow morning. I think 25 is probably a good number for you as my forecast, and a freeze duration of likely 9 to 10 hours. All right, so there you go, Jeff. Let's see here. Let me share I'm back on all the live chat. You got it. Okay. My friends, we've been doing some good work tonight. I think we've been on for about 2.5 hours, and we've had really steady viewership. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in. I hope you guys are getting something out of this, right? Like this is the reason why I do this. The fact that you and I can have this chat in real time, right? It's something you're not going to get anywhere else. The ability for us to chat, to talk about what's going to be happening, to answer your questions. I'm going to end this here in a minute and bring on the live stream that will be going overnight. But again, just to recap, these are all the conditions we expect for tomorrow morning. The hard freeze warning, the 12-hour sub-freezing temperatures, the wind chill advisories. all of the preps you need to take. I've shown this graphic so many times, but it's so important. If you've just tuned in, take a quick second, look at this. Again, protect yourself. Make sure you protect the exposed pipes, disconnecting the hose. You drip the pipes, you turn off the sprinklers, you cover your sensitive plants, you bring them outdoors if you can, you run your pools, you run your water features, remember your friends, the pets, remember everyone else, obviously elderly, neighbors, family, friends. We joke about the Tinder dates, but anyone you can think of who you might want to give a shout out to, make sure they're prepared. But again, part of this is not just tonight, it's tomorrow night as well. And a little tidbit is windshield wiper fluid that's not rated below freezing can freeze if you leave your cars outside. Something we have to think about that, here in Florida, that other areas of the country don't have to think about because they don't sell windshield wiper fluid that will freeze when it goes below 32. But here in Florida, you can find it. Again, freeze duration, even in Brevard County, 9 to 10 hours. It's a solid 12 to a baker's dozen through most of Osceola, Orange, Seminole, Volusia, Lake counties. 13, 14, 15-hour freeze for portions of Sumter, Marion, Citrus, Northern Lake, Flagler counties. You get 11 to 12 for portions of interior sides of Hernando and Pasco and Lake counties. And the biggest kind of variety of potential freeze is going to be in the Tampa area because along the coast, US 19 West, they're not going to freeze. Okay, but you get towards downtown Tampa and we could have a minor freeze, a 1 to 2 hour freeze, but just east or north of there, you're likely to see a 4, 6, or even 8 hour freeze. Could get down to 26 degrees in places like Brandon or even colder in Plant City. Again, record lows falling through a lot of areas. I've shown this graphic a lot as well, but to give you a flavor here, most areas with an asterisk will tie or break the record low. It's only Tampa that is not going to break their record low. And looking again at one more shot of your morning low and the minimum feels like temperature overnight. 10 to 15 degrees in a lot of spots. Some single digit feels like temperatures. Look, Winter Garden here in the Orlando metro area is already down to 34, 35 in Daytona Beach. We're getting there. And again, these numbers, some of them haven't updated since 9 o'clock for the hourlies. So we're pushing even closer to 10 o'clock where these values are likely now that the winds are coming down a little bit too, are likely to fall even quicker. Titusville's down to 36 and Brevard County as well. So you get the idea. Again, real quick look here. Crystal River basically at freezing right now. No snow, guys, coming. No snow at all, unfortunately, here. If Braden gets Flurries happy. Yeah, we've been on a 2 to 3 temperature drop. Yeah, I mean, it's coming. It's coming fast. The colder air is really moving in now, very exceptionally quick. Lot of spots are flirting with freezing or already there. Again, these are real temperatures, real-time temperatures for you here. Let's bring this on here. So this is the radar with the temperatures. I'm just going to drop this down to just the last hour. These are going to be your wind gusts here. And again, the point is that in the last hour, look at Palm Bay now. Melbourne Palm Bay now has a 47 mile an hour wind. I think someone in the chat was talking about the winds in Brevard County. So we can see that the strongest winds have pushed southeast now, but even behind this, you still get some. Sanford has had a 40 mile an hour wind still. St. Pete Airport has had a 40 mile an hour wind. Tampa, TPA has had a 32. So the winds aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And that means that feels like temperature isn't either right now. Wind chill values are in the low 20s for the most part. You got it, Rhea. Identical to Greenland tonight. There you go. At this point in time, Sebastian, I have not seen any reports of snow now. Earlier, late afternoon, early evening, we had a few flurries in coastal Citrus County, Crystal River area, even into Inverness, but just a few, okay? Even coastal Hernando County. That's about as far south and east as everything got. Earlier today, up into Gainesville and Tallahassee and Jacksonville, they all reported a few flurries. All reported by National Weather Service offices or even videos there. As a matter of fact, if I go to these local storm reports, I haven't shown you guys this yet either. This is another really cool feature. Should have shown you this earlier. My bad. These are all the storm reports, okay? So here in old Tallahassee, we're getting a lot of wind reports to begin with here. See if we pick up any snow reports. So a lot of wind reports. Here's a couple of snow reports here. So Lecanto, in between Crystal River and Inverness, let's see what we got here. 625, train spotter, snow in Citrus County, no accumulation, report was received as snow was falling. So there you go. So 625, a little bit more than 3 hours ago, there in Citrus County in Lecanto, home of the Panthers, one of my rivals, but we like them now. They had a few little flurries there. Same thing down in Hernando County, right, near Spring Hill. National Weather Service employees shared pictures of what was likely melting snowflakes near Weeki Wachee. Royal Highlands, if you guys know that area. Social media shows a video of a wintry mix, including some snow falling near Brooksville, no accumulation. And again, that estimated time of about 5:30. Now, this was the very brief interaction of temperatures that were cold enough in the lower levels of the atmosphere and the moisture still present to produce the very fine snowflakes. And it was a brief interaction of those two ingredients that came together during that time. Now, though, the air is too dry, and you notice that as we go farther out in time, so I just kind of take this out and march it through. Oh, we want a little report here. Let's see what we got. Broadcast media showed a video of snow flurries in Wesley Chapel, no accumulation. So there you go. A couple of little flakes in Wesley Chapel too. So that's as far southeast as we got, I believe. I have to bite my tongue again, right? And in the last couple of hours, no additional reports. Up in Palm Coast, these are going to be wind reports. These icons are wind reports. And we talked about that wind there, you know, Palm Coast up to St. Augustine that was producing that feels like temperature in the single digits. So there you go. Nice try, Baba Booey. Wasn't born yesterday. Hey, Chessie, good to see you. So, hey, Chessie, did you see any of that little dribbles of snow? If you did, I hope you took a picture for me. 36, dew point of 22. Yeah, Valerie, in a camper, yeah, I would let the faucet drip. If obviously, however, you heat it, you got to keep it as warm as you possibly can. St. Pete Beach will stay above freezing. Likely not to see any snow flurries because, again, the air has dried out too much. I hope I've explained that as much as I possibly can, that there was a very brief interaction about 3-4 hours ago where the moisture was still enough in the atmosphere and we got into the upper 30s. You don't have to get freezing to get the fine grains of snow. You got to get cold enough, though, with a layer of sub-freezing air above you to produce those snow flurries, and then they melt as they get into the above freezing air. And, you know, 36, 37 is typically the warmest temperature that they don't fully melt before they hit the ground. But now that we're getting colder, the air is just too dry. Brandon, about 26 tomorrow morning. Ben, to answer your question, could be a 6-hour freeze in Brandon. I have family who lives in that area. Yep, Ben, I got you. Brandon, about 26 tomorrow morning, probably a 6-hour freeze. Lakeland area, I mean, again, right now, Lakeland is an area where we've really seen a significant drop in temperature in the last couple of hours. So if I go to just a 2-hour loop, actually, if I go to 3, I think it'll be a little bit more significant here. So Brandon's, Winter Haven, Lakeland's temperature has dropped by around 8 degrees in the last 3 hours, now into the 30s. Again, as we hit 10 o'clock, you know, we're getting really close to freezing. So Inverness is going to be the next area that has hit freezing. So Inverness is now below freezing before 10 o'clock. let's call it about 9:30, and likely will not go above freezing until after 10 or 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that's going to be your 12, 13 plus hour freeze there in portions of Citrus County. And again, these numbers, you know, that update is 9:35. So that's a special update from that METAR site when it hit freezing at 32. Crystal River is also in at freezing, also at 9:35. Ocala, look, Ocala, we're going to get a new report in Ocala here momentarily. You know, the 8:51 report will be replaced by the 10 o'clock report, which comes in just before 10, and that'll be below freezing too. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are, thank you so much for taking a quick second, hitting that like button. You got a question, let me know. This is live stream number 1, but if you are new or you're just tuning in right now, when I get done, whenever we want to wrap this up live, I'm going to start a second live stream where all of the information and our real-time weather computer and our real-time cameras, they're going to be live streaming for you guys overnight continuously, right? So when this is done, I'm going to fire up a second live stream, jump into that one. The chat will be going. You guys can chat with each other, all the information, all of the real-time temperatures. Tune in at any point in time. And again, that will be running continuously all the way through tomorrow morning. Sarasota will not freeze. Sarasota is not under a freeze warning anywhere here in Manatee and Sarasota counties. Shout out to Bradenton, by the way, too. That's where my dad was born and where most of my dad's family lives. Is going to stay anywhere west of 75 here, going to stay above freezing. Right now, Sarasota, Bayshore Gardens around 43. Again, anywhere here, including Pinellas County and coastal sides of Pasco County will not freeze. But it's the only areas here in Central Florida that will not. And a freeze is likely interior all the way south of Lake Okeechobee. So the deep blues are extreme cold warnings and freeze warnings, okay? That's what the deep blues are. So East Hillsborough County, extreme cold warning, freeze warning, wind advisory. Bradenton, outside of, again, when you get towards the river, where you've got the high surf advisory. That's hilarious to see, by the way. But Bradenton, Sarasota itself, not under any advisories because, or any watches and warnings because they're not going to get below freezing. But again, if you live just east of there towards 75, you are, and I would still be taking cold weather preps. Wind advisory is going to be in effect for Pinellas County, but again, not the freeze warning. Technically, Tampa is not under the freeze warning, but we've already looked at the models which have Tampa getting down to 30, 31. If I lived in Tampa, I'm taking the cold weather preps, man. I'm just being safe. It's not going to be a long duration freeze in downtown Tampa. We've got the urban heat island effect, all the concrete. Going to keep things a little bit warmer, but it still could be an issue. Now, east or north of there, right? Temple Terrace, Mango, Brandon, Carrollwood, Citrus Park, Odessa, 100% I'm taking all the cold weather preps. You got it, Blue Goose. Castleberry, Metro Orlando, 23, 24 degrees. Feels like temperatures that will get down into the low single digits, the extreme cold warning, the freeze warning, the wind advisory, all in effect for the Castleberry area. Again, looking at Metro Orlando. Aquacolor, morning low. Castleberry, Altamont Springs, Winter Park, 23. Minimum feels like temperature, right about a dozen. Again, 10, 11 degrees, is it going to really make a difference? Probably not much. But if you step outside tomorrow morning, you're likely to be in the low 20s with feels like temperatures in the low teens, if not even for time to time in the single digits. Again, the feels like temperatures aren't going to be consistently this low. It's all about the wind and the gusts. But from time to time overnight, we're going to drop into the low teens here for feels like temperatures. Not going to snow. I wish there was snow. Anyone asking me a question about snow, and I thoroughly appreciate it because I'm with you guys. I would have loved to have seen a few flakes of snow on our live cameras. It's not going to happen, okay? We had it earlier because we had the combination of cold air and moisture. The moisture's gone. Moisture's gone. If I show you these dew points, the dew points are the indication of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. These dew points are dropping into the single digits in the teens already. It's exceptionally dry air. Look at these dew points all of this cold air coming in, right? These aren't temperatures, these are dew points. The air is so dry from the Great Lakes. But temperatures, right, coming all the way down. The front itself, by the way, for anyone curious, has cleared the state. So this is a loop of the last couple of hours. So around 6 o'clock, it was still over Miami, but now it's into the northwest Bahamas. So there is nothing but cold Arctic, drier air coming in behind. And unfortunately, the front has swept all the moisture out. So now the snow chance goes bye-bye. Hard freeze warning. Yep, for Wakulla. Yep. You got to get down to like South Florida to not be under a freeze warning of some kind. And for most, it's a hard freeze warning. All of this purple, first of all, because they were under an extreme cold warning, the freeze warning is just a freeze warning, but all that's letting you know is, oh, by the way, it's definitely going below 32. It's more about the duration, right? And the duration of the freeze warning is going to be 10, 12, 14 plus hours and a lot, the sub-freezing temperatures. I'm Tampa. Janice, are you Tampa? Or are you in Tampa? I'm in Tampa? Oh my goodness. Mango snow flurries, not that I've seen. I appreciate you too, Rhea. Thank you. Again, not expecting. There was that report in Wesley Chapel, but again, it was a little while ago. So let's again, let me reiterate this. From this point forward, I do not expect there to be any snow flurries. Wish there was, but I got to call it like I see it. The report in Wesley Chapel was at 6:30. So even there, it was 3.5 hours ago now. Even there, it was 3.5 hours ago. All right, going back to our temperatures, and those aren't live, but these are. So Gainesville 30. So there's Ocala already in at 30 degrees. So I told you guys we'd get the new update for the 10 o'clock number from Ocala. There it is, 30 degrees. The dew point is 10. The winds are still gusting at 28 miles an hour. We could be getting close to a single digit feels like temperature here too. I mean, it's 18 right now, but man, you let it get a little bit colder with that wind and they'll be touching those single digits there in Ocala. Gainesville's feels like temperature is 17. But back to the temperatures here. So again, more and more areas knocking on the doorstep. We're basically freezing right now. Levy, Marion, northern Sumter, all of Citrus County, probably northern Hernando as well. We're going to get very close right now. And again, remember that a lot of these reporting centers are in somewhat urban areas, meaning that they're a little bit warmer than outlying areas. So, you know, you live in Umatilla or Eustis or Yahala, you're just a little bit outside of things like Lake Pan or Center Hill. You look at your backyard thermometer, it could already be at 32, no doubt about it, right? DeLand, 34. Daytona Beach, 36. Again, Daytona Beach is likely to get a 10 to 12 hour freeze overnight. 36 in the New Smyrna area right now. Port St. John, 41. MCO and Kissimmee in at 36. Lakeland, 24 tomorrow morning in Lakeland, Desert Rose. 24, your record low is 33, just like in November. You guys remember the freeze we had in November in Lakeland? Just like then, you're going to absolutely smack your record low, if I can find it. Here. Record low in Lakeland is 33. My forecast is 24 in Lakeland. In Lakeland, you guys are likely to see 24 with a 14 degree feels like temperature and a freeze duration of 11 hours. Again, significant freeze. The duration is the biggest problem, right? You know, we deal with a freeze here in Central Florida from time to time in all areas, but the length of freeze and what that can really do to our infrastructure, the exposed pipes, you know, the plants, the pool systems, the cars, you know, it can have some impacts to all of those things. So that's why I continue to go over all of the preps. And whatever cold weather preps you think you might need to take for your specific situation. We talked earlier about the well pumps and some of the ways that you need to potentially protect those as just, again, as a little one-off, you know, where some of the other things that aren't covered in this graphic. But anything you think you need to do to protect the plants, the pets, the pipes, the infrastructure, you need to do them tonight. And again, let me be clear. This is round one. Round two is tomorrow night. There will be another hard freeze in all areas Sunday night and into Monday morning. I don't mind the cold either, but you know, it comes with consequences when it gets this cold in Central Florida, is what I will say. Hey, Alex Roanoff, how you doing, buddy? 31 in Palm Coast. I appreciate that. You got it, Grace. It's my pleasure as well. No, again, no snow. Remember to turn off your sprinklers. Anyone, and yes, of course, tender dates. Anyone who had their sprinklers on in the last couple of weeks, please make sure you turn them off. Otherwise, you get yourself a sheet of ice. That is not something fun to walk up to right now. So Palm Coast 31. Unfortunately, we lost that reporting center, so I appreciate that. I wish we had that one back, but it comes on from time to time. But that is not surprising. Again, Gainesville already down to 28 at 10 o'clock. Already down to 28, guys. MCO 36. 32 into land. Yep. Again, you know, these reporting stations are in more urban areas. You can easily shave off a degree or two if you live just outside of this in more rural spots, more grass than concrete areas. Sorry guys, just checking something real quick. Okay, let's see here. Better cold than hurricanes? I mean, look, it's a give it a take, right? What's the Wakulla temp in the morning? Wakulla, let's see here. Way down here. Well, I think the easiest way to look at your temperature real fast here is just go over to our model. Bring up, likely our morning low is going to be at 7 a.m., 6 to 7, 28. So you can see how down the spine of the state, the colder air in the sub-freezing temperatures go south of Lake Okeechobee. South of Lake Okeechobee. Again, if you're just tuning in, northern and western sides of Metro Miami are likely to freeze. 37 right now. Well, you're likely to go below freezing soon. Should I leave outside faucet on? You're going to want to drip or trickle your outside faucets, yes. Yes. It's not about city water or where the water is coming from. It's about the fact that you don't want the pipe to freeze, because that pipe close to the exterior of your home is subjected to that sub-freezing air. And we know what happens with water when it freezes, it expands, and that can burst the pipe. So you want to trickle any exposed faucets, disconnect the hose, trickle the faucet, and then if you want to, you can even wrap the faucet as well with a blanket or a little towel, just something to insulate it just a little bit. The biggest thing and the thing I suggest the most is make sure you trickle that faucet. Absolutely. Disconnect your hose, indeed. Disconnect your hose, trickle the pipes. Oops, sorry about that, guys. I'm working with a lot of different things here. Since we were talking about that, I just, again, wanted to just bring it back up. Disconnect the hose, insulate the pipe, drip the outdoor faucets, turn off the sprinklers. Plants, that's the one we deal with most often in Central Florida. You know, when we get near freezing, we always talk about the tropical plants. Obviously, if you could bring them indoors, that's a great idea. Please remember your pets. If they're cold, if you're cold, they're cold. Check on everyone. The windshield wiper fluid thing was just kind of one of those trivia pieces from my time in other places where, again, you know, Most places don't sell in the Northeast windshield wiper fluid that's not going to be rated for sub-freezing temperatures, but here in Florida, that's not always the case. Other fluids of your car have higher viscosity, and they will not be freezing. 33 in Altamont Springs. Thanks, Fiona. 28, Oh Man Church. Better have cocoa. Yeah, I would, again, most of Metro Orlando feels like temperatures tomorrow morning in the low teens. 10, 13 degrees, something like that. Again, not consistently, but as a minimum. Again, outside workers, I know it's a Sunday morning. We don't have as much of that. Church services, let's discuss this. Church services tomorrow morning, I mean, it's the hats, the gloves, it's the scarves, it's the layer. It's the layering up. Put as many layers between you and God as you possibly can. It's going to be that cold tomorrow morning. I mean, seriously, if your parents, your grandparents are insistent on going out to the early morning church service tomorrow morning, please make sure they are appropriately dressed. Now, again, a lot of areas of the United States, they deal with this all the time, but we're just not used to this kind of temperature, and we don't want to forget what it's going to really feel like outside with that wind. Again, that wind is still biting tomorrow morning, 20 to 30 miles an hour by 7 a.m. It will relax a little bit the remainder of the morning hours, but it's still going to be an issue. Plant City is likely, good graphic to show you, Plant City, 24, 25 degrees, freeze duration of over 10 hours in Plant City. Yep, Zephyr Hills, Wesley Chapel is going to freeze. You definitely want to drip the faucets. Extreme cold warning for Zephyr Hills. Anywhere inland from Pinellas and Pasco counties in the Tampa area, Tampa CP area is going to freeze. It's just about how far east you are, how far inland you are, and how rural you are for how cold it's going to get. But it's a hard freeze here, guys. Zephyr Hills, Wesley Chapel, Land O'Lakes, Brandon, Plant City, 24, 25 degrees. Morning feels like temperatures around 14. The duration of the freeze, again here, likely to be in the double digits, 10, 11 hours. Again, a lot of areas here around freezing now, going to stay below freezing until at least 9 a.m. I will say some areas near Metro Orlando have been holding on above freezing slightly longer than I expected, but it's not going to last very long. Again, as our temperatures are updating in real time, you can see how even areas farther south, like Lakeland, they're down to 37 right now. Deltona, 34. And again, these are the reporting stations. And a lot of you guys who have outdoor backyard thermometers are reporting even slightly colder than that at this point. No snow. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're just tuning in, thanks for taking a quick second, hit that like button for me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, again, this is a live only channel. I'm only on when there's impactful weather here in Central Florida. If it's extreme cold, we'll do that. If there's cold fronts coming in with severe thunderstorm tornadic activity, I will cover those live morning, noon, and night, obviously with our sea breeze storms during our wet season, and of course any tropical storms or hurricanes. I'm on covering it for you. I'm a Florida native, 25 years of television experience. So hopefully I know what's going on here, and hopefully you guys are enjoying things. If you do, again, thanks for taking a quick second, hit the like button. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. We have live cameras for you guys and a lot of really cool new things throughout 2026 that we will continue to roll out for you guys here. I'm actually working hard right now to get the studio up and running with new paint, new flooring, and then we're going to bring in some new technical things, and then a whole new look to the channel, and some really cool things coming up as well. Speaking of our live cameras, as you can see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, this live stream is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. LeanOnMeLaw.com is their website. This is their camera from Winter Park, the Lean Law Cam, where skies are nice and clear. Now, again, why do I show you this? Skies have cleared, the moisture is gone. Goodbye any chance for snow flurries. It's all about the cold and the wind and what it's going to feel like outside as we get into tomorrow morning. Conway Cam from the lake. The winds maybe settled down slightly more, but still a good breeze. Skies are nothing but clear here in Metro Orlando. Again, no threat for any flurries. The attractions camera, this is always a great camera during our storm season because the attractions and the Magic Kingdom is literally 1 mile from this camera. It's about as close as you can get. So it's a great camera to always keep an eye on because we know there's a lot of folks outdoors at any point in time here in Lake Buena Vista. And if you're heading out tomorrow morning to the attractions, anything, you gotta bundle up. Same situation with church services, anything tomorrow morning. You can be outdoors, right? I don't want to, sit here and tell you that, it's Armageddon, but for Florida, it's just darn cold, right? 25 in Lake Buena Vista tomorrow morning. Minimum feels like temperature of 13 degrees. How about Lake County? 23, minimum feels like temperature of 10. Maybe you have an early morning flight out of MCO. Good luck. 24 degrees tomorrow morning, it feels like temperature of 13. I was, Grace, yes. I worked in television for 25 years. Born and raised in Florida. I spent the last 10 years here in the Orlando area on TV. Wind chill tomorrow morning, depending on where you live. Patrick, again, if you want to let me know, but this is the Metro Orlando area for temperatures and feels like. This is the Tampa area. Again, not going to freeze. Tarpon Springs, Newport Richey, Palm Harbor, Clearwater, Largo, St. Pete, Pinellas Park. 34, 35 in most spots, but you get towards Tampa, a minimum freeze, not a long duration freeze. I've got Carrollwood, Citrus Park, Odessa area 29. Odessa's an area that's kind of out there by itself. I mean, it can probably get a little bit colder than that as well. Brandon, Wesley Chapel, Zephyr Hills, anywhere from 23 to 26, just dependent on, again, exactly where you are. Lakeland is cold as 24, same thing for Plant City, and then feels like temperatures in purple as minimums. Even Ruskin is likely to drop below freezing as well. Obama Oz, that was potentially earlier, but again, all of the moisture is gone in the atmosphere, so the timing of the moisture and the air cold enough to produce flurries didn't line up this far south. It got as far south as Wesley Chapel. There was a report of a few flakes in Wesley Chapel, but it was really sporadic. Same thing in Citrus County as well, up towards Crystal River and Lecanto. But it was really Gainesville, Jacksonville, and Tallahassee that had a decent little bit of snow flurries. And I'm sure there's a lot of videos you can find. Maybe I'll show you some tomorrow as well. Again, this is the radar. Right now, I promise you it's looping up, but you get the idea that the last gasp of any moisture is gone. Basically done. I hope it's not going to affect the local power. Do they have de-icing at MCO? I'm not really sure, Fiona. Good question. No, nothing moving forward, Obama Oz. It's now all about how cold it's going to be. So the moisture's gone. Again, in Florida, if you get this cold of air, typically you get very dry air, and that's what's happening right now. So now it's about how cold it's going to be and how long below freezing it's going to stay. Those are the two big things. So the Gulf effect snow was that the moisture was coming off of the Gulf and lifting into the atmosphere just enough, and the temperatures were just cold enough to produce a little bit of snow. Because the winds, as I show you here, were all out of the west. So this cold air mass was picking up a little bit of the moisture from the Gulf, taking it across the coastline where temperatures were slightly above freezing, but that's okay. You just have to have a layer of sub-freezing atmosphere somewhere above you, but the surface temperature doesn't have to be freezing itself and producing some light snow flurries. I grew up in Crystal River in Citrus County, and I personally experienced that when I was a kid back in 1989. For anyone who might remember 1989 and you lived in that area, you probably remember the very tiny snowflakes. Now, it was a decent amount. It was like 15, 30 minutes of really snowing, but the flakes were so granular and so tiny, but it was amazing. It was a little bit different scenario because the front had moved through the day before and it was just a completely overcast day and the moisture was kind of trapped and not moving. But this front with the wind, because there was no wind that day, that we basically just shook out some snow at the end of the day right towards sunset. It's a completely different system. The winds were so much stronger with this one that you had this short amount of time before the drier air got pulled in behind that front to get any kind of snow. I'm going to say there's a 0% chance of snow anywhere else. Currently in Melbourne, Florida is reporting light snow. I would be shocked that there's enough moisture anywhere, guys. I really would. Light snow and breezy. Yeah, 36. That is an automated report, and there might be a little bit of moisture. I just don't see it happening. But you're right. I will give you that. The Melbourne International Airport is reporting light snow and breezy 36. Now look, if there's anyone in Brevard County who is actually seeing a flake or two, let me know. Yeah, you know, again, that's an automated reporting site. So these are the local storm reports, guys. I promise you right now, because there's a weather service office in Melbourne, if there was actually any snow in Brevard County, we'd get an LSR, a local storm report. And I've got those readily available on my weather system. We can look at them in real time. So I'm going to go up to right now at 10:18. I don't see a single report here. Again, earlier, if I back this up to 6 o'clock-ish, this is the Wesley Chapel report right here. That little snow icon. And it, you know, there was no other reports outside of Hernando and Citrus. No accumulation, but there you go. The time of it was 6:30, so now we're almost 4 hours away. I've seen that before, by the way, plenty of times, where a reporting site will have a little bit of moisture and report it as being some kind of frozen precipitation when it's not really falling to the ground. Okay, Acosta, how you doing? No snow in Brandon. Cold as can be, but no snow. I know, look, I'm with you guys. If it's going to get this cold, we might as well just enjoy a little bit in the way of some winter weather too, right? And by the way, you know, again, these winds are still whipping. They're coming down a bit, but you can see the winds as the strongest are now south and east down in Indian River County, you know, towards St. Lucie there. You're getting around 44-mile-an-hour winds, but still 33 in Yohala, 30 in Tampa, 32 in St. Pete. That's a big story. Okay, thanks. Nope, so no snow. All right, guys. Man, we've done some good work. I think we've been on for 3 hours now. I feel good. I ran out of water because I didn't want to have to take a break to use the restroom. I ran out of water about 2 hours ago from my Lean Law tumbler. All right, so again, let's talk about coverage. Here's what's going to happen. I am going to thank you guys, and I'm going to end this live stream here coming up in a minute. But this weather system, our live cameras, all the graphics that I made are going to be streaming for you live overnight. I'm going to start a second different live stream here on the CFLW channel in just a few minutes. So keep an eye out for that. That is going to run continuously with some beautiful music as well. People, just if you haven't tuned into the live streams, people talk about the music all the time. That will continually run. I'm going to run that for you guys continuously. So you can check in at any point in time tonight or overnight if you want updated real-time current temperatures and conditions in your area. Those will all be updating in real time. The live cameras will be out there as well. I will then be back on live around 7 o'clock tomorrow night to cover the freeze for Monday morning. We're going to run it right back for tomorrow morning as well. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. A couple of things before we get out of here. First of all, again, this live stream is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. Look, you find yourself in any kind of storm damage, maybe you get that burst pipe. Hopefully you protect yourself. But if you need to be walked through the insurance claim process, they can do that. It's leanomnilaw.com. We can't do this channel without sponsors, so check them out by going to their website. Email me if you guys have a picture or a video of the freeze from tomorrow morning. So this is your assignment for tonight. If you get a hard freeze, and there's some really cool shots, obviously the snow flurries, I made this graphic earlier today, it's not going to happen. But you get a good picture of the freeze I can show tomorrow night. email it to me, cflwlive@gmail.com. If you take a video, love to see videos as well. Just keep them under 20 seconds. It's the size of the files, Gmail. We're going to keep them small to be able to transfer them over. And I'll show some of those on tomorrow night's live stream. Okay, so again, new live stream coming up in a couple of minutes. Out the door. If you've gotten anything out of this, and I have loved every second talking to you guys, hit the like button for me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much to those who have found ways to support the channel via the super thanks and the super chat and the super stickers. Gaming with Jamie, Fiona, Cole, Juan, Rhea. Appreciate all of that. There are other ways to support the channel in the comments section below. A lot of that goes right back into bringing in the new features, additional cameras, and some of the other things I'm going to be rolling out here in 2026 I'm really excited about. So appreciate that. Okay, my friends, thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your night. Please take this seriously. I will see you back here live on the channel tomorrow night. In just a couple of minutes, the new live stream will be up and running with the chat. You guys jump right back in, chat away. I might even jump in from time to time this evening. I'll be up for a little bit, giving you guys updates. But again, all of this information updating for you in real time, right on through the overnight hours and tomorrow morning so that you guys can stay weather aware. Thank you so much, my friends, for tuning in. Have a great, safe rest of the evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow. And again, new live stream coming up in just a few.